6 Saturdays a year, generations old and young, from near and far, gather in a place where passion, pride, and tradition meet. Almost heaven, West Virginia. Welcome home. This is what an entire state waits for all week.
Now let's bring on the Mountaineers.
We fly our colors. We fire up our drills. We pay tribute to our history. The countdown to kickoff has begun. 60,000 in gold and blue.
He takes the snap at the handoff, going in untouched. Justin Crawford off the left side, touchdown. Beautiful execution by the Mountaineers.
This is who we are. This is what we stand for. This is West Virginia football.
On every Saturday in the fall, a college football team is presented a chance. For the West Virginia Mountaineers, there's a chance to improve to 2-1 and perhaps a chance to move back into the top 25. This afternoon, the Delaware State Hornets have a chance to shock the college football world when they visit the Mountaineers here at Milan Puskar Stadium. Thanks very much for joining us for our continuing wild and wonderful coverage of West Virginia athletics alongside former WVU and NFL star Mark Bolger. I'm Rob King. Mark, I know you have to like Will Grier, the quarterback, Florida transfer, and what he's been able to do in his first couple of games.
I do. I know we're only 2 weeks in, but I'm sold. I mean, his mobility, his accuracy, and I think the sense of maturity that he's brought to this team is something that's been lacking, and I think it's showing on the field.
8 touchdowns, just 1 interception in his first 2 career games for the Mountaineers. On defense, Kaiser White, the Spur, makes the 3-3-5 defense really go.
Sure, Kaiser, I mean, he does it all. He can come up, put a big lick on you, but his ball skills are something else. When I was playing, they always put the guys on defense who couldn't catch the ball, but I could put him on offense right now, and I think he'd be just as good.
White and Grier looking to lead the Mountaineers today against the Delaware State Hornets. For more on today's game, let's go downstairs to join Meg Bolger.
Coach, about to be 3 games into this season. What do you want to see from your guys today?
Well, you know, a little bit more consistency more than anything. I mean, we've done some good things on offense, defense, special teams. More consistency across the board earlier in the year is what's important.
All right, thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Okay.
Rob?
Meg, thank you very much. Dana Holgerson as well for joining us as the Mountaineers look to improve to 2-1. Captains out in the field. There's Kenny Carter, the coach for Delaware State, knew he was taking over a difficult situation. Told us earlier this week that it was even tougher than he suspected it would be in his 3rd season. Still looking for his first victory of this season. And there's Will Grier, the West Virginia quarterback, as the teams get set to go and ready to play. And what's going through your mind here as you're the starting quarterback in a game like this, Mark?
I think you got to stick with your fundamentals and your discipline. You just want to improve. You obviously can't overlook a team, but I know as a head coach, I would be saying I want to come out of this game healthy. You know, the worst thing that could happen, I think, would be a useless injury in a game like this, and you're not overlooking them, but at the same time, you got to look long term.
And in order to do that, you have to play hard and play fast. You can't play not to get hurt, because usually that's when you do get hurt.
Oh, of course. You have to play at one speed, and whether it's 1/2 or 3/4 like last week, your one's got to go at it. And you know, these guys, you know, some of them are looking to play on Sundays, and you know, the film doesn't lie. And if you take a couple plays off, you know, these scouts aren't looking at plays and saying, hey, the score was 50-0. They just look at the film, and there's no scoreboard.
Well, Kenny Carter's a guy that focuses a lot on special teams. We'll see if there's any surprises, onside kicks. They've blocked a couple of punts this year. See if Kenny Carter has anything up his sleeve in the special teams game. They've also faked the punt earlier this year. So there's a lot of things he could be doing here. You would expect Wisdom Nazidi to just kick it off deep to Marcus Sims, but we shall see. Getting ready to get underway. The crowd still filing in an absolutely beautiful day here in Morgantown, West Virginia.
As you mentioned, Rob, I think that's important. If Coach Carter wants to do an onside kick or try something during the game, this is going to go against West Virginia's opponents. They're going to be watching to see any weaknesses. So that goes back to the point you mentioned. you have to play your game because everything's on film for your future opponents.
And set to go. The ball has been placed. And Wisdom Nazidi will be kicking off. Fine senior kicker for Delaware State. They do have excellent kickers. Not only Nazidi, but also the punter Fidel Romo Martinez, averaging 45 yards per kick, and we're ready to go. Nazidi does boot it deep, and the Sims, who will take it, gathering it in at the 3-yard line. Crosses the 10, now races across the field, looking for room. Finds a seam, here he goes, Marcus Sims across the 40. Just Nazidi to beat, cuts inside him, and Brock Nichols will wind up making the big tackle all the way down at the 18-yard line. Big return right out of the chute by Marcus Sims.
Definitely the look Coach Holgerson was looking for, coming out. They're not going to take him lightly, and with a return like that, I think he has his team prepared.
Return of 79 yards unofficially for Marcus Sims. Here comes out as Crawford to his right. So Gary Jennings having an issue with his chin strap, gets zipped up from David Sills and now ready to go. Opening play for the Mountaineers after the long return by Marcus Sims. Jennings in motion. To give to Crawford. Cuts back. Crawford down to the 12-yard line. So a good quick gain by Crawford, and the Mountaineers will look to move quickly.
Look like they're in a quarter look, which helps the safeties come down to stop Crawford. But
fake looked like Greer kind of lost his footing as he tried to fling it out there to Gary Jennings, so falls incomplete. Will bring up a 3rd down.
Yeah, it's one thing that you hate to miss passes like that, and like I just talked about, the fundamentals is what you have to concentrate on games like this, and I'm sure he'll hear about that on the sideline.
3rd and 5. Rear back looking, will throw, man open, complete. This is Jennings, and Jennings inside the 5 down to about the 2-yard line. It'll be a 1st and goal for the Mountaineers.
That's what I like to see out of Will. He, the last couple games I've watched, he comes right back. One errant throw, but next one right on the money.
Greer gives to Crawford off the left side. Crawford in the end zone. Didn't take long. 4 plays for the Mountaineers after the long return from Sims, and they're on the board immediately against the Hornets.
That's got to make Coach happy. There's no letdown. There's no half speed. They looked like the Mountaineers of last week versus East Carolina, and I'm sure they're going to keep the foot on the pedal here as long as they can.
Mike Molina will try the extra point for West Virginia. 11 for 11 on the season for Molina. This kick is up, and this kick is good. A 4-play, 18-yard drive takes just 53 seconds following the Sims return. Good, crisp start for the Mountaineers offense.
Yeah, they get down the red zone, and there's so many options here. With Will being able to run the ball, hand it to Crawford, throw it out to Sills. I don't know how you stop it, but for the special teams to have that return, I know that's been an Achilles heel a little bit for West Virginia here, and now with Coach Holgerson taking over the reins of that, and to come out, 70, 80-yard return, I think that does great for the Mountaineers.
It just takes him 53 seconds, and Sims obviously not available for the Virginia Tech game. And that speed is another element that he brings to this West Virginia offense and special teams as well.
Yeah, he had some jets going there. Holy cow. So, I know they want to work, hopefully they don't have to punt too much, but, punt returns and punt and all the special teams is definitely something I think West Virginia wants to work on today. And, the offense looks like it's working on all cylinders so far.
Mountaineers, Evan Staley, freshman from Romney, West Virginia, getting set to boot it away. It will go deep, and it'll be taken by Bryson Arlene. He'll move laterally, crosses the 15, cuts back. Oh, he is hit hard as he only gets out to about the 12, maybe the 13-yard line. And East-West is a tough way to go against a faster team.
It definitely is. And, you know, I mean, it's no secret that they're a little bit outmanned today, Delaware State is. And, you know, you got a lot more speed on the West Virginia side. And, again, they came out looking like they're ready to play. And, you know, I know Coach will have you know, Delaware State ready to go, too. You know, with his pedigree from the Citadel, there's no way there's any quit in this team.
Kenny Carter, a guy who's coached at a lot of places, Youngstown State, as you mentioned, the Citadel, Louisville, Florida, Vanderbilt, Penn State, Pitt, LSU, been into a lot of places. He obviously knows something about this atmosphere, but for his players, something of a new environment because so many freshmen and sophomores playing for Delaware State, a team trying to get a little traction in the FCS ranks. Mike Waters behind quarterback Jack McDaniels. And they give to Waters, and Waters finds some room off the left side, surges across the 20 and out across the 21-yard line. So a good solid gain by Mike Waters. And you talked about Kenny Carter. Really feels good about Aline, Mike Waters, and Nifes West, a freshman who we'll also see in this game.
For Coach Carter, second and short, you'll take that every day. Now West Virginia, you know, do they take a shot? Do they run the ball just for the first down? It just gives you so many more options when you have second and short. And I think that's his goal, have good first downs, and then your option expand.
This is something we asked Coach Carter about. Will you try to take the air out of the ball? And he said, you'll have to wait and see. It looks like that might be part of the game plan here today. And the fake, McDaniels keeps it nowhere to go. Oh, Al-Rashid Benton and others in pursuit as McDaniels slides down for a loss of a couple on the play. As we take a look at the players to watch, we mentioned Waters, Jack McDaniels, true freshman, and Fadasua Godnet, the leading receiver for the Hornets.
Yeah, the whole left side of the line there seemed like it just got overrun. A little bit of that speed of the West Virginia defense, and I wouldn't be surprised if Coach Gibson brings a little heat here. And it looks like cover one, which is man with a free safety.
3rd and 4. McDaniels, a little short pass, and nobody there. Streaking open is Nifes West. West crosses the 30. West crosses the 20. Will remain on his feet and go in for the score. So Nifes West, the redshirt freshman running back, catches the short pass in the flat. Nobody around, and he scampers all the way down into the end zone for the score.
Like I mentioned, it was cover one, which means man-to-man, and if one person blows their assignment, that's what can happen. That's the risk you take in man coverage. And, you know, great call by Delaware State there.
Well, Coach Gibson not at all happy about the big plays surrendered in week 1 and a couple of them obviously last week in the second half against East Carolina. And then he sees his defense give up a big play here. Wisdom Mazidi on to try the extra point.
It's an aggressive defense, and that also means assignment defense.
Mazidi's extra point is up. It is good, and the Delaware State Hornets responding with a 3-play 87-yard drive to tie the game up at 7.
So here you go. You're seeing the touchdown here. I'm not, you know, I hate to say whose fault it was, but it looks like the end there got his head caught in the backfield, and that man-to-man responsibility, it only takes one to make big plays like this happen. And Coach Gibson, I know he loves to bring the pressure, but it's a lot of responsibility and it's a lot of trust in your defense when you go man-to-man.
81 yards on the touchdown, and you wonder if, you know, against Delaware State very conservative on a lot of calls. They have a true freshman quarterback in Jack McDaniels. Maybe they saw that on film, thought they were going to run the ball there. The play action really caused them to bite and move up, and then an 81-yard touchdown is the result. Short pooch kick this time, as they want no part of Sims. So Ferns with a short return for West Virginia out to about the 36-yard line. That's where they'll take over on their second drive as we take a look at our West Virginia players to watch on offense. And we, of course, know about quarterback Will Greer, talked about him. Justin Crawford, leading returning rusher in the Big 12. David Sills and Gary Jennings, a fine receiving tandem. So the Mountaineers, a lot of ball to spread around among a lot of different players here for Jake Spavital, the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, not just that, but with Wilger's, escapability and be able to run, and obviously his throwing ability, it's really potent offense. So I don't think they're too concerned yet.
Here's the give to Crawford, and Crawford will bust out for a 20-yard gain before Brock Nichols can bring him down. Maybe 21 out to the 45-yard line. And it's a first down for the Mountaineers.
And again, you don't want to harp on that touchdown, but it's just, again, it's just your opponents. Now they maybe see a weakness. So that's the things you don't want to have them see in a game like this.
Out to Sills, and Sills tackled by Kewan Selby, one of the fine defenders for Delaware State, a third-team preseason all-conference selection. Pick up a 5 to Sills down to the 40.
Pick up a 5. 2nd and 5.
Mountaineers moving quickly. Here we'll give to Crawford. Crawford finds a little seam, stumbles for first down yardage down to the 33-yard line, gain of 7.
Now, these are some massive holes for the Mountaineers so far in the rushing game. They're just going to take 7-8 yards, and they're going to take their shots too.
Here's a shot. Greer back, looking, throws, pumps. Now will move to his left, in trouble, and is going to be slung down for a loss on the play. And now a flag comes in late as Ulysses De Los Santos was able to come up with a sack. Let's see what the call is going to be here.
Yeah, it's a possible face mask, I would assume. That's the kind of plays you worry about as a coach too. You're your quarterback and getting tackled in a
personal foul. Face mask.
Yeah, face mask.
Defense.
Awkward situation. Like I said, you don't want to have any injuries this week. And he has the shield, but he still grabbed his face mask. Yeah, it was really obvious. But it's just tackles you don't want your quarterback taking, because anything can happen.
So it nullifies the sack by De Los Santos, who was called for the face mask. So instead of a 2nd and long, the Mountaineers will have a 1st and 10 down at the 18-yard line. Crawford remains a setback. Rich showing blitz. Now they'll back out. Snap over the head of Greer, able to catch it. Now in trouble, dancing to his left, and will just take what he can, and is slung out of bounds by Alex Lozano on a loss on the play of about 3 yards back to the 22-yard line.
Yeah, just I don't know if the snap was earlier, if Will just wasn't expecting it, but that could have went the other way really quick. So getting a little sloppy for the Mountaineers, and I think more importantly, you got to give Delaware State a lot of credit the way they've come out so far in this first quarter.
2nd and long. Here will give to Crawford. Big hole off the right side. Crawford stops and starts, crosses the 10, and gets first down yardage inside the 8-yard line before Brock Nichols can bring him down.
Just great vision. I used to play with Marshall Falcon. This cut right here, you'll see right there. That's the kind of cut Marshall used to make. This vision, the peripheral vision is amazing on Crawford.
Greer throws it out. Jennings inside the 5, lunges forward before he's ridden out of bounds. So we'll see where they're going to spot this. Looks like it's going to be all the way down at the 2-yard line. No, they're going to move it back just inside the 5. So a gain of just a couple on first down. 2nd and goal.
It looks like it's man-to-man, so they're kind of trying to stuff the box here to stop the run here. I'm sure Will has the option to throw it.
Instead, give to Crawford. Dances, cuts back to the middle of the field, stood up after a very short gain. Maybe got down to the 4, only picked up about half a yard or so. Devin Smith, the sophomore safety, comes up to make the stop.
Yeah, just a numbers game. They got 8 in the box there, and if there's one extra guy and everyone else is occupied, it's, it's 1-on-1.
3rd and goal. Here throws, Sills, touchdown, Mountaineers. No, they're going to say incomplete for some reason. It certainly looked like a touchdown. Well, I didn't get a good look at this.
I missed something too here.
Oh, yeah, the ball hit the ground, bounced right back up to him. And so they immediately send Molina out for the short field goal attempt, just 1 for 3 on the season. And now trying to make sure they get all the proper personnel out there, hustling out.
It's a great defensive play there. That's, I think that comes from Coach Carter. It's, that discipline.
They're going to
finish in the play. It wasn't over, and
so they want to look at this to see. Looks like a touchdown to me. I mean, it's close, right? So do they see enough to overturn it? You think he's got the feet down and possession in the end zone?
I would think so. I just don't know. The ruling on the field was incomplete.
Right.
So to overturn it, they're going to.
Now here might be the best angle to see if he's got control of it as he comes down. Oh, you're right. That is awfully tough.
I think if it was ruled a touchdown, it stays a touchdown. But the fact that it was incomplete, I think it stays incomplete.
We're waiting to receive the call.
But again, just great defensive play by the cornerback there.
So we can't really, because he's blocking it a little bit, it's hard to tell, was the ball slipping out of his hands as he even brought it forward, Mark? We don't really know that because he had a bit of a tenuous grab right here behind his head.
Yeah, I think once his foot hits the ground, the play is over and it's a touchdown. But
the ruling on the field is confirmed. Incomplete pass.
Like I said, I think it's a touchdown if it was called out on the field. But again, overturning that would probably be the wrong call.
So the Delaware State Hornets defense holds. Mike Molina, 1 for 3, has converted a 34-yarder. Will try his second kick here. Just outside the 10-yard line, so a kick of 20 yards. Snap's good. The kick is up. It is good. And the Mountaineers, 2 drives, 2 scores, leading 10-7. 9:42 remaining in the first quarter. Milan Pushkarski.
Yeah, that last play, David Sills, he's been really, really impressive these first 2 weeks. And I used to play with Sean Foreman, David Saunders, and I remember an old Ed McCaffrey out in Denver. He reminds me a lot of that with his ball skills. He can really adjust and knows the game so well from being a former quarterback.
Really interesting story that I'm sure we'll delve into a little bit later on. Short kick here. And it's Aline who's going to take it. Ooh, he lost the football, rolling forward, and Aline able to plunge on top of it, still loose. Officials coming in to sort things out. It looked like Aline had a chance to recover his own fumble. West Virginia signaling they have the ball, and the officials agreed as West Virginia football.
Yeah, that's the mistakes you can't make coming in as a huge underdog. And that's kind of an Achilles heel with teams that don't win a lot of games. You make mistakes like this, and a team like West Virginia with this program, they'll make you pay in a hurry. And I wouldn't be surprised if West Virginia scores pretty quick.
Xavier Preston is the one who falls on that fumble for the Mountaineers, and they will take over at the 25-yard line. Crawford remains in the game. Officials getting things set. Not sure if they're getting another look at this. So they were taking a look at it, confirming it was Mountaineers football. The recovery by Preston, that is confirmed and ready to go. Here, play action. Looking, firing, and almost intercepted, intended for Gary Jennings. Instead falls incomplete.
Yeah, just a little late. He's new to the system. He's done a great job learning it, but the ball's just got to come out a lot quicker than that. He had a step on him, maybe a little more air, but
a good job by Q1 Selby coming back to make the defensive play. Here, throws quickly. Here's Jennings. Jennings will get down close to first down yardage. I beg your pardon, that's Karan White on the reception. Moses Dupree on the stop defensively for Delaware State.
I mean, either slot is a give me first down right now if you just throw it to them.
3rd and 1, and they will. Exactly. Well done. Flung out to Jennings. And Jennings gets inside the 5, takes a high blow. The flag comes in. Looks like that might be a personal foul against Delaware State.
Like I just mentioned, you can't have your slot defender 10 yards off and have a 3rd and 1 and not expect Will just to stand up and throw them the ball. I mean, he's well coached enough to see that.
Personal foul. Targeting. Defense. Number 40. This play is under further review.
So Garfield Heslop is called for the personal foul. It's going to be reviewed. Take another look.
Yeah, no one wants to see that, but I don't know. I think it's getting a little much
like
with these targeting calls.
Looked like it was shoulder to shoulder.
I
Hard
think
to say here.
It's a fine hit.
Well, the head snapped, and when you see the hit come up high, you understand why they're throwing the flag. Right? You see the head snap. And look, I'm 0 for 1, but it looked to me like it was kind of a whiplash there.
I think it was. I mean, my concussions all came usually from hitting the ground. My head hitting the, not from just a direct football hit.
So the officials will take a look at this. And this is an important call here as you take a look at the targeting rules on your screen.
And I'm obviously biased as a quarterback, but you got to let the defensive guys play. I mean, I think it's getting to the point where that's why there's so many points. They're afraid to make plays that they used to. I think he led with his shoulder.
Did the crown of the helmet hit Jennings below the chin strap? That's something they'll be looking at. So you saw the 3 possible outcomes. If it stands, it's a 15-yard penalty. Heslop is ejected from the game. Again, it could be completely overturned, or there could be not enough evidence in which Heslop would stay in the game, but the penalty would stand.
No, and I know there's rules, so give him 15 yards, but to throw a kid who's worked all off season.
After further review, there is no foul for targeting. The result of the play, first down.
Yeah.
I agree. I just don't see the reason. Maybe if there's 15-yard penalty or a personal foul, but to throw a kid who works all off season out of the game for just a hit, and no one wants to see anyone get hurt. I mean, don't get me wrong, but football is a violent game.
So Crawford stays in on the 1st and goal. Delaware State bringing pressure. Flung, and Jennings can't make the grab. So a couple of would-be touchdowns. One Sills couldn't hang on this time. Jennings has it go through his hands.
Yeah, good throw there. I'm sure that was a read play. Give the ball or throw it. And I mean, he's accurate. Still banged up maybe from the play before.
Second and goal. Here gives to Crawford off the left side. Crawford close, reaching. Is he in? The official saying no. And Delaware State thinks that Crawford fumbled. They're signaling it's their ball. Well, now touchdown Mountaineers. Off goes the musket. And here's a look here as Crawford stretching for the end zone.
Yeah, once that ball touches the front of the white, it's a touchdown. The play's over. It's kind of like, Sills' deal. If, his foot hit it, could have been a touchdown. But once that ball crosses and he had possession, it plays dead and it's a touchdown.
And I want another look at this quickly.
Yeah, the only thing they might look at is his knee. I was looking more at his elbow, but it looked like a touchdown from this angle.
When it stands, it'll be a 5-play, 25-yard touchdown drive following the fumble recovery by Xavier Preston on the kickoff.
Is it me, or is there a lot of reviews 6 minutes into this game?
A lot of reviews.
4 or 5.
Got some close calls. Crawford maybe sitting on his second touchdown run. One more
watching
look
that
here.
knees are good. And then you just worry about his elbow. Knees are up. elbow ball across the front of the white, like I said, and it's a touchdown the minute it goes an inch over that.
Crawford, 7 rushes, 52 yards. Well over 7 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns for now. And it, in fact, is a touchdown for Crawford. So Molina will try the extra point to give the Mountaineers a 10-point lead. And Molina's kick is up. It is through, and the Mountaineers have extended the lead to 17-7. So Xavier Preston recovers the fumble. Crawford runs it in for his 2nd touchdown. And at the 8:41 marker, the first, Mountaineers leading Delaware State 17-7. At Mountaineer Field, the West Virginia Mountaineers looking to improve to 2-1 in the season, leading the Delaware State Hornets 17-7. Jamal Crawford. Reason to smile. Yep, 2 fingers up, 2 touchdowns for Jamal Crawford. He caps off a short 5-play, 25-yard drive with his 2nd touchdown run of the game.
Mistakes Delaware State cannot make if they want to stay in this game, and the Mountaineers made them pay. That's exactly what's going to happen when you're playing an opponent that just has more speed and size.
Bryson Alleen tries to move out to his left, trying to sprint to the corner. He's going to find a little bit of room, and will get out close to the 25-yard line. So nice return by Bryson Alleen as the Mountaineers going on top by 10.
Yeah, there's the mistake, you know, that they can make. And West Virginia's going to get 9 yards there, come right back, get another 10 or so. And then with Crawford down the goal line, I mean, it's too good of an athlete to expect to keep him out of the end zone.
So 2nd possession for the Delaware State Hornets.
Be interesting to see if Coach Gibson sticks with the cover 1, and you know, they burnt them in the first drive, but
McDaniels rolling out, looking, throwing underneath, complete to Selby. And Selby, Teron Selby, is the twin brother of Kewan Selby, who we saw on defense for the Hornets. So good play on 1st down.
It's a zone look, you know, just a good 5 route, I used to call it, a little pin route, and a nice rollout, get him out of the pocket. He doesn't have to sit in there and have the rush face him, and he made a nice throw on the run.
Kenny Robinson, the freshman from the Pittsburgh area, getting his first collegiate start, makes the stop. And Delaware State, again, they're going to let this clock dribble down as much as they possibly can. Alleen straight up the middle. Short gain. Dylan Tonkery on the stop. Going to be short of a 1st down, and will bring up a 3rd and 2.
3rd and 2, you know, this is just man on man, and you know, if I'm Delaware State, I'm thinking about getting them out of the pocket again and throwing the ball. I don't think you're going to match up inside 7-on-7 in there very well versus West Virginia. So maybe get out of the pocket and have a run pass option.
Alleen remains in the game. Baptist Suigadnet and Teron Selby split out to the left. McDaniels will give to Alleen, and he will be just short of the 1st down.
Bryson Alleen, the ball carrier.
I don't know what I said. When you're giving up, you know, that size, I just don't see you getting 2-3 a pop if you're running the ball.
Well, the special teams is crowded over on the Delaware State side of the field, and they will send them out. So they won't go for it here on a 4th and short. Fidel Romo Martinez, excellent punter. We mentioned averaging over 45 yards a kick. Marcus Sims back deep for West Virginia.
And I'm sure Coach Holgerson's has him well versed to be looking for the fake. This would be a prime situation, but I think they're kind of ready for it right now.
And it is the snap to Romo Martinez. Ooh, lets a liner go over the head of Sims inside the 10-yard line. Sims will scramble back to pick it up and will be dropped immediately. So excellent work on special teams for the Delaware State Hornets, pinning the Mountaineers inside their 10-yard line. That's what they'll take over, up by 10, 6:19 remaining in the first.
Well, David Sills certainly has an interesting story on how he got to West Virginia. In 7th grade, Lane Kiffin offered him to South Carolina, where he committed. Then following decommitting to West Virginia, he got here as a freshman, started on the scout team, rotating positions like most players do. And after a few reps at receiver, defensive coordinator Tony Gibson could not stop raving about him. He went to Coach Holgerson and said, "You got to watch this kid." And this was going against now pros Carl Joseph, KJ Dillon, and Darryl Worley. So Coach Holgerson told him, if you commit to this position, you could be pretty good. Well, he ended up transferring in hopes of continuing to play quarterback. Came back to West Virginia, fortunately for West Virginia, and came into this game leading the country in receiving touchdowns. Guys.
Meg, thanks very much. Yes, Sills, an incredible story. That offer as a 7th grader to USC, and then winding up after the JUCO year coming back. He caught the big ball in the Cactus Bowl victory over Arizona State, the game-winning touchdown, and then decided he still didn't have quarterback out of his system, but now playing receiver here, and that and it just as we talk about that one slid to his hands, that their timing not good there, but this is a guy you really like.
I do. You know, the fact that he was able to, you know, not so much swallow his pride, but I think on both ends to say, hey, I followed my dream, it didn't work, I'm going to come back, and the fact that Coach Holgerson invited him back, it's amazing. You know, I had agents coming out that pretty much fired me because I didn't have a good senior year, but 2 years later they wanted me back, and I went with them. And you know, I think that's a mature decision for him to come back, and it's paying off. And I think he'll be playing on Sundays.
Oh boy,
there must be something on the ball here.
Yeah, he's had all kinds of trouble now here, and Delaware State has recovered this ball at the 6-yard line. So for the 3rd time this game, we've seen Will Greer having trouble with the snap, and this time, Mark, you mentioned earlier, lucky to get it back. This time they're not so lucky.
No, that's actually the 3rd play in a row. When they came out, it slipped, and then it went through, you know, Sills' arms, and then this. Sometimes this centers get a little wet, but that or just maybe a little lack of focus. It's one of the two. You know, I don't want to be the judge, but they need a big stop here to not give this Delaware State team any life, because you know, they get in here 7. You never know what can happen the longer they stay in this game.
Yeah, and they wanted, the coaching staff, we talked to them earlier this week, they wanted, you know, they want to come out here and play good, crisp football, and I'm not sure they're going to feel that way about the way they performed here in the first almost 10 minutes of this first quarter.
I mean, the first drive was really, really impressive, and since then I think it's not lackadaisical, but just not as crisp as I think Coach wanted.
Waters behind McDaniels. McDaniels will throw towards the corner of the end zone. Boy, back shoulder throw. Pretty good one out there for Godnet, but good coverage as well by Kenny Robinson. It'll be 2nd and goal.
It was good ball placement. You know, you're not going to throw it through the end zone there, so it's just a matter of maybe a little more air to give the receiver a better chance to adjust, but I don't mind that one bit. It was, you know, his receiver was going to catch it, or no one was.
Kenny Carter really likes his freshman quarterback in Jack McDaniels. I'm not sure what the delay is here. There's no time coming off the clock. Taking it down to 4 on the play clock. And McDaniels will keep trying to get to the edge, and was chased from behind and brought down by Al-Rashid Benton. He's able to pick up a couple and get down to about the 2-yard line.
Not a bad play, but like you said, running east to west versus this defense, it's not going to win. There's too much speed, but you know, it's still positive. You get, you know, that could be targeting. You know, it's
Derek Pitts there with a late hit up around the head area. You got to be really so careful of that now.
But again, that's why I said earlier, you know, you just let the kids play, and unless it's intentional and egregious, just let football be football.
We're in the play clock. McDaniels just gets it off. Wanted to give to Waters, instead will float underneath, and boy, had a receiver breaking open, but because of the pressure, no time to set his feet and make the throw.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a read. You know, it's a run pass option, and to be moving left and throw, that's a very difficult throw. I mean, especially for a freshman, that's putting a lot of responsibility, but that shows you the trust Coach Carter has in him.
And pass intended for Selby, incomplete, so Wisdom Nazidi will come on. 3 for 3 in his field goal attempts this season. 3rd team preseason all-conference MEAC selection. And waiting for some personnel to come out, and now Play clock is going to expire. Let's see if Kenny Carter called a timeout before this happened. It looks like he's walking out in the field. They're going to say delay of game. So
Penalty. Remains 4th down.
Kenny Carter way out in the field. You know, sometimes the kickers talk about this over in the right hash, giving them a little bit better angle.
Sure, the hash marks being so wide in college makes it a lot more difficult for the kickers being closer.
Here's the kick by Nazidi. It is up, and it is good. And Delaware State hanging around. 4:35 remaining in the first quarter, and it's 17-10. I'm guessing if you told Kenny Carter this was going to be the score, he would have kicked off first. It was 17-10 at this point. He probably would have taken it.
I think he would, and especially after that first drive, you know, going West Virginia, the big return, and then 3 plays later getting a touchdown and having a muffed kickoff return. You know, they've made some mistakes, but to be 1 score out is, you know, you got to give some credit to Delaware State.
Well, West Virginia having some trouble handling the ball. Some miscues on this last possession.
Yeah, that was the first play, and the second one right through Sills' hands, and then the third one obviously goes through Greer's hands. So I don't know if it's a lack of focus, if the ball was wet, but I know that won't make Coach happy, as you can see.
Marcus Sims back deep.
That's one thing I never had to deal with when I was playing. We were, you know, 90% of the time under center, and I think that's an issue for quarterbacks in the NFL now, is because they literally don't even know how to take a snap under center.
Right.
Because they've never done it. And this pistol formation, I mean, it's a risk every time. It's a lot safer taking the snap under center, and I get why they get it because they're successful, but it does add some risk.
Well, the kickoff again, they're going with the pooch kick, and Ezekiel Rose. Sims wanted to come in and grab that, and Rose, I think, saw an opportunity to get the ball in his hands. The defensive lineman able to get the return out. Looked pretty good running that ball out there.
Oh, that was always scary. Those up guys, you know, usually it's fullbacks or long snappers. I can just picture them hitting their shoulder pads and bouncing out just like it did for Delaware State earlier. But
so the Mountaineers come out. Crawford remains in the backfield. Again, we're expecting to see Kennedy McCoy and Martell Pettaway at some point. But it is Crawford who's continuing to carry the load. Here back. Looking, stepping up, plenty of time, throwing deep, has a man down there. It is Sims, catches him inside for the touchdown. 62 yards from Greer to Sims.
it's a great throw there. The safety had his eyes in the backfield. I could see it as a quarter look. And then there was just too much speed. I mean, you try to backpedal and catch up with a receiver with his speed. It's way too late. And a great throw. You got to give it to Will. I mean, his deep ball has gotten so much better. And
Sims has really made his presence felt in just a couple of weeks. Missed the first game. Returned against East Carolina. Here's Molina's extra point. It is up. It is good. Mountaineers extend the lead to 24-10. One play, 62-yard drive.
If you look right here, the safety's eyes are just in the backfield, and you're going to see this route, and it's too late there. His speed is just overtaken. So when the safety comes up, it's just, it only takes a second, but that's the difference between 70, 80-yard touchdowns and that's a problem with West Virginia. You have the running game, you have the passing game, and you get those safeties peaking, and you've baited them all game, and that's what happens. And great design.
And they have talented receivers, but Sims with that 4.3 speed just adds another element. You talk about stretching the field east and west and north and south. That's the terminology the coaches like to use. But Sims is one of those guys that really provides that quote-unquote vertical threat.
Of course, and the safety, you can't put it all on him. He was peaking in the backfield. But I think if you're going to do that, you might want to you may want to press him, just because if you let Sims off the line with no jam or anything, he can get to that 4.3 speed in a hurry, and not too many guys are going to be able to stay with him.
We saw the fine receivers for the Mountaineers. That was a career-long 62-yard reception by Sims. Let's take one more look at this trio. David Sills, obviously the big target. You compared him to McCaffrey, and this is the numbers heading into today. Gary Jennings, the leading receiver. Karan White, obviously has his brother, first-round draft choice in the NFL, and another talented guy. We've seen Kaiser, another brother, on defense, and then Marcus Sims. So Sims, that fourth receiver. They're still looking for more guys to step forward. Maybe Reggie Roberson, a couple of other players. Ricky Rogers, they moved into the slot this week to try to provide a little more depth at that receiver position.
It's great. The more competition, the better. And these guys are, obviously all competitors and getting their touchdowns, and that makes it all the more difficult as they head into Big 12 play here soon.
Daniels will give to Aline. Aline finds a crack. Here goes Bryson Aline, crossing the 50, crossing the 40. Aline tried to skip out of the tackle attempt. Couldn't get there. Draven Askew Henry runs him down, but a big gain for Bryson Aline. We've seen this defense exploited for a couple big plays.
Delaware State's done their homework. There's some good blocking up front, maybe a little bit of a hold, but hey, they've seen something on film because there's just too many big plays happening right now, and maybe just missed assignments or something, but I know Coach Gibson isn't happy right now.
47-yard run, so Aline will take a breather. Mike Waters will come back in. Aline was 5th in the conference in rushing, Waters 3rd, so not much of a change off when you go from one back to the other for Kenny Carter. And the keep by McDaniels, and that was Daniels and McDaniels. Mike Daniels for West Virginia, and Jack McDaniels went down wisely here, I think.
Again, just a read, and you hate to see your quarterback take hits like this, but that's part of this offense. And even if you didn't get a yard, sometimes this is setting up for plays that just happened, and the naked boots and different plays. So it's always not a bad thing. No turnover, maybe lose 1 yard, but
it seemed to take forever for Waters to come up on that option. It seemed like McDaniels was waiting a long time, maybe a little slower developing than they would have liked. 2nd and 11. And now flag comes in.
Flag on the play.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, number 50, 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
Just when you get some momentum, you get a penalty like this, and that's what happens to teams that have losing records. It just seems like they shoot themselves in the foot. Now you're 2nd and long rather than 2nd and 10, and that's a big difference. Once you had momentum going, now that momentum is stopped.
And you want to keep scoring points, and now maybe pressing the edge of Wisdom Nazidi's field goal range. 2nd and 16. Daniels pump fakes, looks, going to his right. He has nobody out there. Tries another little pump fake and able to pick some yardage up before he's chased out of bounds by Marvin Gross. The pump fake to no one. Of course, Gross didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a great job by Robinson. The safety over the top, the corner bit a little bit, and I don't know if that was a responsibility, but he would have been open, but Robinson covered his 6, and would have been an interception if he would have thrown it. So it was a good job, pulling it down and just getting a couple back.
Third and 12. Mountaineers showing blitz. Here they come. McDaniels under pressure, and McDaniels will go down. It's Ezekiel Rose who comes in and sacks McDaniels back at the 41.
Yeah, you just revert back to that offside. You hate to go backwards, and you had momentum, and it's amazing how much momentum plays a factor in football.
Well, Sims back. Fidel Romo Martinez, who Kenny Carter thinks is maybe a future NFL punter. He's an excellent athlete, really good student, and of course an excellent kicker, averaging over 45 yards per punt. Probably just looking to pin him deep here. And going with a wide formation.
Leg. Number 9, 5-yard penalty.
You have a punter like that, this could be an intentional delay game, and I know the punters don't mind that too often either because it helps keeps their average up. I know that much.
Well, it's an unusual formation. Let's see if West Virginia goes out to cover. They will.
Like any golfer, if you have your 100-yard shot and then you go to an 80-yard shot, it's a lot more difficult.
Boy, Fidel Romo Martinez, we talked about what a good athlete he was, had to go up and get that one. And now we'll be down inside the 5. There is a flag on the play, though. So Romo Martinez doing a nice job corralling that high snap, getting off an excellent kick. But let's see what the call is going to be here.
Got a very nice
illegal formation.
Bounce.
Offense. 5 men in the backfield. 5-yard penalty.
Just these little things are the ones. That's why I think the Hornets are struggling a little bit. You just keep making penalties and you're playing well, but you can't keep doing this.
Instead of having West Virginia pinned back inside the 5-yard line, they'll be forced to re-kick it as Dana Holgerson accepts the penalty.
That's the ones as a coach I think that would drive you the most nuts, because it had no effect on the play.
Right, somebody just lined up in the wrong spot.
Just 5 people in the backfield, and it had nothing to do with it, and it's like it drives you nuts. So see if you can do it again.
4th and 33. And Romo Martinez hammers one. And this time it will skip into the end zone, so it winds up costing 16 valuable yards for Delaware State, that penalty on the alignment issue. And here's Will Greer and what he's been able to do. Boy, a tremendous high school career in Davidson, North Carolina. Played for his dad, coach's son. Look at his numbers his senior year. Can you believe that? 77 touchdowns.
Did they have a 20-game season? Because I don't know how that's possible.
Truly amazing numbers put up, and setting the record for the most passing yardage in a game at the high school level. Just has really put up some astonishing numbers. Not only in high school level, but now in college, adding to that as well. Goes over the middle, finds Jennings. Oh, Jennings lost the football. Scooped up and pounced upon now. They attempted to scoop it up, but it looks like it's going to be Delaware State football on the fumble by Gary Jennings.
That's got to be the 5th time I think they've mishandled the ball today. Yeah.
Is a completed pass, resulting in a fumble, recovered by the defense.
And we'll have to take a look at this as well.
1-2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a fumble.
Devin Smith able to eventually land on it for Delaware State.
Yeah, we used to have a rule high and tight, and you know, he looked like he had pretty good ball security there, but I just don't think he expected the corner coming in from the opposite side. He was worried about getting hit from the front side.
So Delaware State will take over. Good field position. Mike Waters behind quarterback Jack McDaniels. Oh, this one skips past McDaniels. Picked up by Waters, moving to his left now. Will try to juke back forward and will find nowhere to go as Kenny Robinson and Kaiser White wrapped him up for another big loss.
I don't know what's on the ball today, Rob.
It is amazing, isn't it?
I think his eyes were just off the ball on that one, but again, that pistol formation, it's a risk every snap.
Well, we've seen a couple of drops, a couple of snaps go through the hands of each quarterback. Some drops.
And I think with the added dimension of having to read the end on most of these run plays with the option, it's, you know, the quarterback wants to get their eyes to the end before they're securing the ball. So
that's the end of the first quarter.
And that will do it for the first quarter of play. The West Virginia Mountaineers against Delaware State. Coming out, they get the big return from Sims at the beginning of the game, able to use that and a couple of Crawford touchdowns to jump out to a 24-10 lead. Second quarter on the way here at Milan Puskar Stadium in Morgantown. One quarter of play in the books. The Mountaineers leading the Delaware State Hornets by the score of 24-10. Alongside Mark Bolger, I'm Rob King. Happy to be here today. The Hall of Fame class announced. Mark, you're a Hall of Famer.
I am.
West Virginia, that had to be a great moment.
It was, 2010, I was able to be inducted and I was honored. And first time I ever came to Morgantown, I never thought I'd step foot on this field, let alone be in the Hall of Fame. So I know all the inductees are very proud right now.
There's Dan Moses, one of the Hall of Famers, the only major award winner, the first for West Virginia, the Remington Award winner back in 2006. They started giving out those awards some 90 years prior to that. And Dan Moses winning the Remington as the best center in the country. Opening play of the second quarter. McDaniels will float one out. There's Waters in the flat, and Waters is wrapped up for a textbook tackle by Kaiser White.
That's what he can do. I talked about his ball skills in the outside of the game, but he can bring it, and I think that's what, I know he's young, but the NFL scouts are drooling over him, what he can do in a couple years.
No question, a guy who has first-round potential. Playing that spur position where so much is asked of him. You got to blitz, you have to be able to run support, come up, have pass coverage. We saw a couple interceptions you talked about in the open. So really a difficult position, takes a unique athlete, and Kaiser White, one of the better ones they've had here playing that position.
A really important position at the next level.
There's McDaniels looking and throwing finally into double coverage, and this will be intercepted by Draven Askew-Henry. Former running back at Aliquippa. Let's see what he can do with the ball in his hand. Well, not a whole lot as he is taken down at the 48-yard line, but Draven Askew-Henry with the interception for the Mountaineers.
Coach Gibson went back to just a drop zone. That was not the man we talked about earlier. And he just threw into double coverage. Just a late throw down the middle with zone coverage. This is going to happen every time, but he's young. Let him make his mistakes, and think about it, sometimes that's not that bad. It's just like a punt. It's been a sloppy, I think, first half so far on both sides of the ball, West Virginia and Delaware State. So see if the Mountaineers can clean things up and take care of business like I think they expected to.
Crawford remains in the game at the running back position. And move to the left now. And Greer will give to Crawford. Oh, well strung out. Brian Conte, excellent looking sophomore linebacker, able to string that out and then come up to make the stop as well.
In my old OCD NFL play, this D end, I think he's lined up off sides pretty much every play, but doesn't look like they want to call it.
Here's a give to Crawford again, and again, nowhere to go.
The give is to Crawford.
As he is dropped in his tracks. That was Nigel Bynum who came up along with Moses Dupree to make the stop. So 3rd and 10 following the interception by Askew-Henry.
Take a cover 2 in Delaware State here. Not going to give up the big play.
You're looking, buying time, throwing, has a man breaking, and it is intercepted. And that's Nigel Bynum who reaches high to snag it away, and interceptions for each time. Each team, Delaware State comes up with a turnover.
Again, it was the cover 2 I just mentioned. You're not going to give up a deep, big play with that, and he did a great job scrambling. I know that's part of his game, and you don't want to ever take that away from Will. But throwing, in that, what we call it the hole between the corner and the safety, there's just not much room there when it gets that late in the play.
Not sure. Did he see Bynum, do you think, there? Or just tried to float it over the top because he saw White breaking late?
Yeah, I think he tried to float it over. You can early in the play, but as the play went on, the corner just kept sinking. Late on cover 2, it's more of a deep down the middle of the field is where the soft spot is. But again, just sloppy. Both sides of the ball, both teams. Just special teams, everything's just been sloppy.
And here's Keenan Black, who will check into the game for the first time this year. Oh, he is hit hard by Xavier Pegues. He's going to lose a couple, so they bring Black in to run the option. Let's see if he's going to stay in for a while. Didn't look like anything happened with Jack McDaniels on that last play as Pegues just comes up and wallops him.
Just as I mentioned, sloppy, you get Perfect tackle, you know. And again, they could call that targeting, but it, you know, that's form tackle there. So I'll just keep mentioning sloppy, and maybe we'll clean up a little bit.
Loss in the play brings up a 2nd and long. Here's the give to Waters. Waters goes up the middle and will get the lost yardage back at a couple more.
3rd and 7. This probably isn't the situation Delaware State wants to be in. You know, they want the 2nd and short and then 3rd and short, but I don't think this is what they were looking for. And just don't make any big mistake. You got such a good punter. I think, you know, get a couple yards and change the field and see what happens.
Black, the sophomore, and Jack McDaniels, the freshman, battled for the quarterback position. McDaniels won the job and played every snap in the first 2 games, and now Black getting his first action of the season. Back to pass, looking under pressure, will throw late and incomplete. Underthrowing his receiver Teron Selby, and it'll be a 4th down, as you mentioned, a somewhat conservative play there, and Fidel Romo Martinez will come on to try to boot it away.
It was. When you're out of your comfort zone, though, that's when you can make big mistakes. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And like I said, you got such a good punter. Change the field and, you know, maybe aim it towards the sideline a little bit.
An extremely young team for Delaware State. They installed a single senior on offense, which is amazing, really.
It is. But you know what? I think it's going to pay off in the long run. Having a freshman quarterback 2, 3, 4 years from now, his experience will be valuable. You know, playing a place like this, they get to play Florida State the last game of the season, so you know, it'll pay off in the long run, even if today doesn't work out, you know, on the scoreboard.
Well, Kenny Carter not only playing a lot of young players, but playing just, you know, as far as in terms of starting, but just in terms of depth, continuing to run a bunch of freshmen and sophomores out there, offensively and defensively. 2, 3, 4 teams of players. As Sims tries to pick it up in the bounce and will be dropped for no gain in the return back at the 29-yard line.
Some remarkable renovations have taken place here over the past few years here at Puskar Stadium. In the spring of 2015, a $50 million project began with all the upgrades designed to enhance fan experience. Improvements included widening the concourses, increasing restrooms, and adding more concessions. The east side was completed in 2016, with the final updates being completed on the west side this year, and stadium renovations were capped off with the addition of a $4 million video board. Rob?
Thanks very much, Megan. Yeah, the improvements they've made remarkable here, and that's part of keeping pace in the college football world as we see Will Greer scrambling out and picking up 8 over the right side. And there is that new video board, $4 million worth. Renovations complete.
He went right back to the shot they took earlier for the long touchdown. The safety didn't bite this time, so good job by the coaches in Delaware State fixing it.
There's the handoff to Crawford, getting great blocking downfield, lunges forward down to the 40-yard line. Late flag coming in as well. Now let's get the call here from the officials.
That's the kind of chunks you want to get, though, out of your running back. You know, those 10, 15-yarders, they start seeing the hands on the hips of the D lineman. That's a good sign if you're on offense.
And you see that, you know, the coaches, when they put it on the chalkboard, always have those guys blocking way downfield, but it doesn't happen all that often. And he had like a convoy when he hit the midfield strike.
And if you notice from West Virginia, their running backs finish. It's always been that way even since I was here. When you get to the sideline, they're not going out of bounds. They're going to finish the run and make the defensive back pay a price.
The officials still talking things over. Mentioned Reggie Roberson, the freshman, as a guy they're, you know, one of the guys they're hoping will step forward along with Ricky Rogers and some others, give him some depth at that wide receiver position. Did a nice job getting downfield and helping out blocking there. Officials still talking things over. Kenny Carter, Hornets head coach in his 3rd season on your left. Dana Holgerson's 7th season for West Virginia was on screen right, still talking things over. And
well, they got dinner reservations to make tonight.
the crowd here voicing its displeasure. This is unusual, and I'm not sure what's taking so long here.
Personal foul. Block below the waist. Defense, number 20. 15 yards from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
Now, Kenny Carter didn't like it. The call on Kewan Selby. And the run by Crawford.
See if we can see it here. I think they said 20. They might have had the wrong number.
Well, it looks like he was going in there to wipe out the blocking attempt of Roberson, and then sailed into the legs as well of Crawford.
It's first and 10 for the Mountaineers, along the 28.
So
Pretty tough call there.
Yeah, the penalties on Devin Adams instead. Rear back, looking, floating for White. White back shoulder comes down with a football. Touchdown, Mountaineers. 28 yards from Greer to White.
That's what you got to do if you're West Virginia. Just say, I'm going to trust my athlete over yours. If you want to go one-on-one, Will did a nice job keeping the safety to the wide side of the field. Made sure it was one-on-one. And again, good throw and the ball skills. You're going to win that 9 times out of 10.
Pretty good coverage by Selby, but a better play by White. Good throw by Greer. 3 plays, 70 yards. Takes just 38 seconds for this Mountaineers quick strike offense to throw another touchdown up on the board. As always, reviewed, so a slight delay. Now Molina on to try the extra point for the Mountaineers. Been perfect in this regard on the season, 14 for 14. And now Molina 15 for 15, and the Mountaineers 10:45 remaining here in the second quarter. Get the 28-yard touchdown pass from Greer to White. The Mountaineers have extended their lead to 31-10. About with the coaches, obviously Tony Gibson doesn't want to see the big plays. We saw the big play by Delaware State. They've had a couple of them in the game. As you take a look at Will Greer, his offense has racked up 31 points here, but you want to make sure you're crisp and you want to make sure your guys stay interested and involved. It's human nature. You know that you're the favored team. You know you should win big. To maintain that discipline of keeping the fundamentals, that's something that I think the coaching staff's going to keep an eye on, Mark.
Sure, they want to see some consistency, I think, starting now on. They're getting the big plays, which we knew would happen with this team because that's what they are, but just a little more consistency and keep the ball off the ground. Just a little too sloppy, but they're getting the big plays, and it's got to make them happy.
Here's Arlene again, and Arlene, a nice kick return once again. Cuts inside the 40 and gets out near midfield. We saw the kick return game in a negative way for Virginia Tech. Really, that was a big spark in their victory over West Virginia. And that's something Dana Holgerson's going to want to see cleaned up.
Sure, and just hark back to the consistency, and these next opponents, the Big 12, they're going to be watching every kick return, every punt return, and they're going to see any flaws or who's loafing, and they got some work to do there.
So Delaware State will take over. Excellent field position at the 49-yard line. And they've done just enough to hang around. There's been a couple times you thought West Virginia might deliver a knockout blow, but Delaware State, you mentioned Kenny Carter, Citadel guy, he's going to keep him in there scrapping.
Yeah, he's not going to let these guys give up, and if it weren't for their own turnovers, this game could be a lot closer.
Hand off up the middle. Oh, tripped up his Knifeys West, who was able to pick up first down yardage as it was down to the 40-yard line. A 4,000-yard rusher at North Penn High School.
First down, Delaware State.
But that's just too big of a hole.
West Virginia 40.
You're playing in Oklahoma or Texas, that's a touchdown. So again, just gap football, and someone wasn't in the gap they were supposed to be.
McDaniels, by the way, back in quarterback after Black handled the last series for the Hornets.
It's man-to-man again. I'm thinking if you're Delaware State, might as well take a shot. That's back to zone. Forget that.
And change the coverage, trying to confuse the young quarterback. And here's West. Man, did he lower the shoulder and pick up 5 tough yards.
2nd and 5. That's a good situation to be in. 5 yards on first down is exactly what Delaware State's looking for.
West and Kenny Robinson.
That was a train wreck there. That's the ones you feel tomorrow morning. Both of those guys will.
I wish he'd been able to come over and clean things up once again. We're going to wait for as much of this play clock to run down as possible. 5 in the play clock they give once again to West. Tries to step outside, and this time not going to go anywhere. Wrapped up, and it's Kenny Robinson who comes up again on the stop. A freshman from Amani Christian High School in Pittsburgh, from Wilkinsburg, coming up to make the stop again.
Really nice play. You've been saying Robinson's name a lot, and Wilkinsburg is about 5 minutes from where I grew up in Greenfield, so I like to see fellow Pittsburgh guys making some plays.
4 tackles for Robinson, and again, going to stand around, wait for the play clock to go down. West Virginia's longest touchdown drive is 56 seconds in this game, so they know West Virginia can strike quickly. They want to try to play keep away as much as they can. 3rd and 5 now. And McDaniels will keep, and McDaniels, boy, Javon Askew-Henry closing, and McDaniels might have had a chance to lunge forward, tried to make Askew-Henry miss, and he's going to be stopped short of a first down.
Yeah, really close. If he dove, he'd probably would have had a first down, but it's like when I was playing, we don't get to see that yellow line that's usually on TV going across the field, so you really have no idea if you need a half yard or a yard, and I'm sure he thought he had it, but the 4th and a half yard, it's not a bad situation for them.
Well, another coaching situation there in the fake. We saw the fake and then the throw out again on the long touchdown. So a couple of fakes that they've bitten on a little bit defensively that Tony Gibson's going to want to clean up.
Sure.
And here's a give to West, and West leaning forward, and looks like, oh boy, the officials on each side of the field have slightly different points in which they've marked the ball. It looks like it is just short, but again, that's looking from the far official side. The near official has it a little closer to the 30-yard line. Just has to touch the 30 here to pick up the first down.
Yeah, that was straight man-to-man, and I don't think they gave him the spot.
No, they did not. And one of the Hornets players is down on the field.
Man, there was 9 guys in the box.
West, boy, working hard, lunging, pretty good spot there as it comes up just short. West Virginia will take over. We'll tell you about the injury on the field when we return. Head coach Dana Holgerson's team up 31-10 over the Delaware State Hornets as they take over again offensively just outside the 30-yard line. Cadence Jackson was the injured offensive lineman for Delaware State, a freshman. He was helped off the field during our commercial break. Here's a pass out to Pettaway. Martell Pettaway crosses the 35, crosses the 40, and Pettaway gets out to the 47-yard line. Pickup of 17. Our first look at Martell Pettaway.
It's the kind of first downs you want to have for Coach Holgerson. You want to extend his lead, and you don't want to have an injury like Delaware State just had. So maybe finish this first half up crisp and see what you can do with your younger guys.
Here's Greer in trouble. Greer will run. Greer heads out to the left, crosses the 40, the 35, and then will slide down smartly at the 33-yard line. 20-yard gain for Greer.
Great job eluding the rush, making something happen. And like you mentioned, Rob, I think the smartest thing on this play was at the very end. Just protect yourself. No need to prove you're a man at the end of that play.
Pettaway remains in. Flung out quickly. Lunging forward across the 25-yard line, down to about the 24 is Sims. Pickup of about 8 on that first down play. Here's Petaway. Petaway off the left side. Steps out of a would-be tackle. Shakes free down to the 15-yard line.
This is the kind of drive that's shaping up that we thought we were going to see all day. You know, not just the big plays and sloppiness, but 4 or 5 consistent, good offensive plays on this drive so far.
From the 16-yard line. Rear back. Throwing over the middle, has a man open, touchdown Mountaineers. It's Sims who is able to gather in the 16-yard strike from Greer, and the Mountaineers lead now pending the extra point, 37-10.
Yeah, the safety was cheating to the near side of the field here towards this hash, and great job by Will to see that, you know, just go opposite of the safety, and good read, great route, and then obviously a perfect throw right on his numbers.
Molina on to try the extra point as Greer has thrown his 11th touchdown pass. That's one short of the West Virginia record of most touchdown passes through 3 games set in 2012 by Geno Smith. Now Sims, a big kick return earlier, and this touchdown reception of 16 yards, capping off a 5-play, 69-yard drive. Mountaineers up 38-10. Sims hauls in another one. The Mountaineers leading 38-10. 6:23 remaining here in the first half at Mountaineer Field. Keenan Black and Bryson Allen back deep to receive. Evan Staley, the freshman from Romney, West Virginia, set to kick off.
Sims didn't tweak something there. It looked like he was stretching on the sideline, and that's definitely something I think Coach wants to avoid coming into halftime in the second half too.
High short kick. Allen will find a little bit of room once again, and will cross the 30 out to the 32-yard line. And how about the work from Will Greer in this first half?
Yeah, just his deep ball right over the safety, right on the money. You know, the speed right there, Sims, and looks the safety off there for the touchdown. So, you know, his quarterback IQ is impressive. I know we're 3 games into the season, but he's done some studying, and only being here for over a year or so, you know, his knowledge of this offense and the way he's able to get up, I think, shows his football IQ.
Well, if you've got a minute, West Virginia's got a touchdown for you. Look at their touchdown drives. Only one of them exceeding 1 minute. The last one, 1 minute, 18 seconds. You can see the time on the other 4, including that 62-yarder to Sims earlier. So the Mountaineers offense, when they haven't had a miscue, and they've had a couple here and there, has been blistering. McDaniels faking, rolling out, going to throw underneath. Has his man out there. It's Bryant Dallas, and he'll pick up about 5 yards out to the 36-yard line.
Delaware State, they've run the ball pretty well. They've had some chunk runs. I think the passing game for them to have success, I think that's what they're going to have to do, is just get outside the pocket a little bit and hope for a miscue.
Physically pretty much overmatched here. It's a program trying to find its feet on the FCS level, stepping up to take on one of the better programs in the country in West Virginia here today. And now movement along the left side of that offensive line.
Yeah, it's just the mistakes again that just can't happen. You just had a half-decent play, 2nd and 5, and now you're back to 2nd and long, and
false start.
It's difficult.
Offense, number 75, 5-yard penalty.
Savion Hopes, the
remain 2nd down.
6'4", 325-pound freshman. That's something that Coach Kenny Carter pointed out. Look, we have some big guys up front, and they do. They have a lot of size along that offensive line. They also have a lot of youth. We saw Cadence Jackson, the freshman who was hurt earlier. Savion Hopes comes in off the bench. He's another freshman. You're starting a freshman already, and Matthew Dirks on the offensive line. 3 sophomores, just 1 junior. Very, very young at a position it is awfully hard to be young at. And here's the give to Waters. Waters finds a crease, and Waters is going to pick up 1st down yardage. Good tackle at the end of that by Daniels, but a good run by Mike Waters.
Again, they've had some chunk runs. I think that's at least 4 or 5 today that they found these holes, and I mean, right there, that can't happen. And again, you know, you're playing an Oklahoma State or someone, that's 6 points. If you're West Virginia thinking down the road.
First down out to the 46-yard line. Once again, McDaniels will take his time. 8 on the play clock as he gets set to call the play. Give to Waters, and Waters this time not much off that right side. Dragged down from behind by Reese Donahue.
It's the read run they've been trying to get all game, and you know they've gotten their chunks, but again, to get those chunks, you got to take your medicine here and there and just get 1 yard. It doesn't look like West Virginia is back in that man like they were early in the game when they gave up the big touchdown. I think they're giving a little safety help and just trusting their guys, you know, those 7 guys inside.
Now, that cost him a couple of times in the second half against East Carolina. Tony Gibson was not happy with that, and there's going to be some things he's going to be not happy with, I would think, here. And there again, that slow developing option play. McDaniels tackled in the backfield. Rasheed Benton on the stop.
Seems like they want to run to the right. I don't know what, you know, I know it's been successful, but they must see something on the right side of their line or like their guys, because it seems like the option's been going to the right a lot today.
And that was one where McDaniels, when they look at the tape tomorrow, might have wished he'd given that ball. It looked like a pretty good hole there for Waters off that right side. Aline checks back in at the tailback spot.
Let's remember, you know, he's a freshman. He's got to learn. It hasn't even been that loud today, but I don't think they're used to playing in front of this many people.
And McDaniels in trouble. Spins away from the first, but not the second. Now Rasheed Benton will come up with the sack all the way back to the 32-yard line.
This is prototypical, you know, Coach Gibson defense bringing the pressure, and you know, if the first guy's not there, there's going to be 2 or 3 on their way. Yeah, that's why I'm thinking if we get him out of the pocket maybe a little bit, you know, earlier rather than the first read, because there's going to be a lot of Mountaineers coming, especially on third down when that pressure's coming.
In punt formation for the Hornets, Marcus Sims.
And Kaiser White missed him initially, but Rasheed Benton able to clean things up, and flags coming in.
I don't know how he didn't block it, but I think it's going to be roughing the kicker because he missed the ball. I think he could have tackled the kicker before he even kicked it.
Dana Holgerson has taken over special teams, and some things to be happy about and some things to be not so happy about. Had the big return by Marcus Sims, but we saw Aline break a big return. Have another pretty good return for Delaware State. Now, once again, a long discussion. Kenny Carter getting an explanation.
Maybe running into the kicker rather than roughing. That might be 5 yards.
Kicker. Defense, number 13, 5-yard penalty. Replay 4th down.
Let's take another look at it here.
Yeah, so instead of the 15 automatic first down, they just called the running into the kicker, but
wow, that
looks like
is,
roughing to me.
That's, well,
I've seen kickers
hard to fathom.
Have their toenail touched and get roughing the kicker. So
the other thing is, you're right. I mean, Sills, he almost could have caught that off his foot. Roman Martinez, a short stop there, and you're going to go with a rugger style kick. Low bounding boot. This time Sills was back, and a good decision to have this re-kicked. It's going to roll dead at the 22-yard line as we head downstairs to Meg Bolger. Meg.
Well, guys, you mentioned all the greats that Kenny Carter worked with in the past, but what influenced him most came before his coaching days. Carter was a 4-year letter winner as an inside linebacker at the Citadel, where he was also a special teams player of the year. He told me his time at the Citadel absolutely impacted him and is the foundation of who he is, from his work ethic to how he deals with people. He said, "I'm an Army guy and it's part of my DNA." And Rob, he also told us that one of his favorite memories over these years came when he was coaching with Pitt and was able to coach the last game at Three Rivers in a backyard brawl. Guys.
Meg, thanks very much. A game that Pitt won over Penn State, and that was the last game in that rivalry until they decided to play again last season. Pitt winning that one and losing to Penn State, of course, earlier this year, just last week up at Happy Valley. Quick pass out to Deron White, and White will pick up a couple.
You get back to Coach Carter. You know these guys are going to go in at halftime, regroup, and you know the Citadel, the Army in them. They're not going to quit. They're going to come out ready to play.
Sills gets the completion and picks up a nice block from Sims on the outside. We'll get out to the 39-yard line before Teron can make the stop. You talk about Joe Paterno, Urban Meyer, Charlie Strong, some of the big names in college football that he's worked with, but talks about that influence back at the Citadel.
Sure, I think he's probably taken a little bit from all those coaches, but I think his foundation was formed at the Citadel, and a week out from 9/11, we just celebrated, so we just thank him for his service and all our military members.
2nd and 7. Bringing some pressure. Greer will step up. Will float one deep. Going for Jennings. Selby in coverage, and Jennings makes the grab. And Selby comes up and says that's an incomplete pass. He wants somebody to take a look at it. Right now it's a first down for the Mountaineers at the 9-yard line.
Great catch. Just threw it up and let his guys make a play. Yeah, Jennings, he pulled it in. That's great ball skills. I think the defender's arm actually helped keep it off the ground.
Well, Selby had his hand in there and deflected the ball, and now we had a late substitution as Jennings is banged up. Ricky Rogers will come into the game. And you can see why Selby thought it was incomplete. He got his hand in the ball, but Jennings, a terrific job to hang on. Rear back and a throw, and Selby, well, I'll tell you what. Kewan Selby has found himself, Teron is his twin brother who plays on offense, and Kewan has found himself in really good defensive position a number of times.
He's there, yeah. I mean, the play before, I don't know what more he can do to try to get rid of the ball, but right there, that's no easy task going against White, and he got his hand in there, and without having a flag thrown against him, pretty impressive. He's able to go one-on-one down there.
And now we have a late whistle here with 58 seconds remaining in the first half. It is Kenny Carter who wants a defensive timeout for his Hornets.
30 seconds in lane.
By the way, Hall of Fame class, Mark Bulger, Katie Bulger, and Meg Bulger, perhaps to join you there someday, huh?
We hope so someday. Yeah, hey, that's not my decision. I got in, but I think I got in because I was able to get both of them to come down here. So,
well put. 5th and 6th, I believe, still all time on the scoring list. Katie and Meg in West Virginia basketball history. Certainly, Katie helping to begin the sort of resurrection of the basketball program under Mike Carey. Terrific job he's done, and Meg and Katie obviously central to that resurgence of the women's basketball team, and they remain a force in women's basketball.
They do. The program's grown so much under Coach Carey, and AD Lyons now. It was a great excuse for my parents to keep coming down to Morgantown for over a decade.
58 seconds left. Handoff to Crawford off the left side, following his blockers, surging forward and into the end zone for the 3rd time. Jamal Crawford scores a touchdown on the ground, and the Mountaineers have extended their lead.
Yeah, I think contact was made probably at the 5-yard line, and Crawford was just able to strength his way in. Yeah, 5-yard line, and that's just all muscle all the way in, and kind of pick your poison with Delaware State. They try to go to a zone to prevent the 1-on-1 with the pass, and then you just hand it to Crawford, and that's what happens. So it's a really tough offense to stop.
Crawford, the Big 12's leading rusher a year ago. So the ground game really added by Dana Holgerson, going more and more to the running game, and you bring in Jake Spavital, the offensive coordinator, and we know what they can do with their weapons offensively. Will Greer looks like he is going to be an outstanding quarterback for the Mountaineers. And the 6-play, 78-yard drive capped off by the Molina extra point, and the Mountaineers with 50 seconds remaining in the first half, leading 45-10.
Yeah, you can throw it short, you can take your shots, you can run the ball. Your quarterback can run the ball. You know, as a defensive coordinator, that'll keep you up at night. You know, do you bring pressure? Do you sit back and you know, you try to play zone, like I said right there, but you don't expect a running back to be able to get contact at the 5-yard line and carry 4 guys in the end zone. So you can draw all the X's and O's you want as a defensive coordinator, but it comes down to, you know, my guy versus your guy. And West Virginia, I think, just has a little bit too much talent for Delaware State.
We've seen is Jake Spavital going with a lot of run-pass options, what they call RPOs now. Something that Dana Holgerson said he did about 10% of the time. Steve Spurrier, maybe one of the innovators of that in the early 2000s. It's something that's been around for about 15 years or so, and they do a lot of it, and that is just got to be murder on the linebackers, because the offensive linemen are run blocking. You're taught to read that as a linebacker, right? And now all of a sudden it's not a run, it's a pass. Oh, it's just got to be tough. As Godnet gets the return, Godnet looking now will stop in his tracks and pick his way across the 30 to the 31, where he is hammered down by Kaiser White.
Yeah, we were always, our run pass options were more counting the box, you know, 7, 8, or 6 or 7, and now with this pistol offense and the quarterbacks being involved with it being able to run, it makes it even more difficult. Like you said, on that will linebacker has to read the quarterback, and he has to read his running back, and I'd hate to be that position versus this offense.
Coming up at the half, Rasheed Marshall and Dan Potash will break down the first half. A feature on West Virginia linebacker Al-Rashid Benton, scores and highlights. We've seen one particular score that has had the faithful here in Morgantown happy. That's up the road in Pittsburgh, so the guys will get you caught up on all the scores coming up at the half as well.
Seemed like everyone was pretty disappointed about that score down here.
Yeah. We're not going to tell you what it is. We're going to let Dan and Rasheed take you through that, as McDaniel's looking over now, wants to see if they want to run another play or whether that's going to be it here in the first half. The ball to 35. Again, maybe not quite as urgent as they have been in the past about keeping the pace slow. They're going to run one more play here. Off the left side, it's Aline, and nowhere to go there. Stopped at the 35-yard line. And that will be the final play of the first half, as the Mountaineers had to overcome some of their own sloppiness too. Now some pushing and shoving down in the field. And cooler heads prevail here. Quanacoli, I beg your pardon. Kenny Robinson getting into it a little bit there. The players separated, and the Mountaineers will head to the locker room at halftime, up by the score of 45-10.
Something the coach doesn't want to see at the end of a half, you know, a silly fight or an ejection, or try to come out, maybe get a couple more points and maybe get your guys some rest and get your young guys in.
And the Mountaineers, they did have a couple of plays they'd probably just as soon forget, but by and large coming out here and taking care of business in the first half, leading Delaware State by the score of 45-10.
Sit back and enjoy this short presentation from the Delaware State University approaching Storm Marching Band, performing hits from pop superstar Bruno Mars. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of our president, Dr. Harry L. Williams.
Well, Meg Bulger is quickly gathering Dana Holgerson. Let's head downstairs now.
Hey, Coach, what were some of the reasons for some ball security issues earlier in the game?
I don't know. Lack of focus, I guess, more than anything. We haven't had that problem the first 2 games. Had too many drop balls and then 3 turnovers in basically 1 quarter. I don't know. Trust me, it got addressed. We'll focus on it again at halftime.
You talked about consistency before the game. You started to build on that in the second. How do you continue that, and what do you tell your guys at half?
Oh, you know, I mean, my biggest message to them all week was don't go through the motions. If you do, you're not going to be very good. This game's too hard. You got to give it everything you got. I think we're a little bit complacent. It's kind of normal in a game like this, but you got to fight that.
All right, thanks, Coach. Good luck in the second. Rob?
All right, thanks very much, Meg and Dana Holgerson. Let's head back up to our AT&T Sportsnet studio in Pittsburgh.
Well, the second quarter was much better than the first for the Mountaineers, but they still hold a 45-10 lead. For more on what we may see in the second half, let's bring in Rob King and Mark Bolger.
Dan Potash, thank you very much as we're getting set to go here. Second half of football between the West Virginia Mountaineers and the Delaware State Hornets. Mountaineers will be kicking off. Evan Staley getting set to boot it away. Bryson Alene and Keenan Black back to receive for the Delaware State Hornets. And one of the things that Dana Holgerson talked about in wanting to play his regulars for at least one series at the beginning of the second half is to be able to get in, make adjustments like you would in any other game. Come out and see if you can get those adjustments on the field, what you talk about on the chalkboard. So we'll see what his plan is here in the second half as Staley boots from deep through the end zone. Will be a touchback.
Kick sails into the end zone for the touchback.
And here are the offensive leaders for the Mountaineers in that first half of play. As you would expect, Will Greer on offense, 276 yards, 3 touchdowns. Justin Crawford ran in for 3 scores. Gary Jennings, 5 receptions, 110 yards. I go on and on. Sims had 2 touchdown receptions, but these are the guys leading them offensively yardage-wise in that first half, 45-10 the score.
Well, West Virginia, a quick start, and I like the way they finished the second quarter, but it was the in-between that was just sloppy, and I think that's why Coach Holgerson might keep them in for 2 series rather than 1 if things go well.
There's McDaniels. He'll give to West off the right side. West bounces off 1 tackler, gets out to about the 27-yard line. Adam Schuler makes the stop. You know, they have Bryson Alene, who was 5th last year in the conference in rushing, 3rd-team preseason all-conference player. You got Mike Waters, who was 3rd last year in the conference in rushing. He was a 2nd-team preseason All-MEAC. And Knifey's West, a freshman. Again, when they get into MEAC play, he looks like he could be another guy joining that. The other 2 is a real stable of backs here for Coach Kenny Carter.
Sure, he reminds me of these West Virginia backs. He finishes his runs. He doesn't go backwards once contact happens, and that's what you want out of a running back.
And West will bounce it outside to the left and pick up about 3 yards, getting out close to the 30-yard line.
You know, whenever I was playing quarterback, I just loved a running back who somehow got 2-3 yards and it looked like nothing. You know, you hate the guys that try to make a touchdown on every run in 2nd and 13. So 2-3 yards, I don't mind that ever out of a back.
And that'll bring up a 3rd and a little more manageable here. 3rd and about 5. Once again, Jack McDaniels and his offense in no hurry to snap the ball. 5 seconds on the play clock. Showing some pressure. McDaniels throws out in the slot, and boy, just not on the same page with Sua Godnet. And now a flag comes in late as Mike Daniels was tangled up with Selby. Let's see who the flag is going to be against. Whether it's on Daniels or not, he's heading off to the sideline as the coaching staff not pleased with that after the play.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 4, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Yeah, Rob, I think that was a carryover from what happened right before the half. Those DBs and wideouts were starting to get pretty physical, and they get broken up right before they went into the locker rooms. And you know, getting these guys to calm down in 15-20 minutes can be tough sometimes, but I know the coaches are not happy with that, just giving them a free first down when they were getting ready to punt.
Well, we've had some praise for Kewan Selby and his twin brother Teron Selby, doing a nice job there finishing his block. Hit a block into the whistle, and you know, Daniels maybe thought there was a little too much there and gave him a shove, but regardless, it's a first down for Delaware State, 45-yard line. Fake to West and throw out. And it's to his fullback, Giovanni Downey, and Downey will pick up about 10, maybe 11 yards. Going to be enough for a first down. They mark him at the 44-yard line of West Virginia.
I think that was the same play they were similar to the one they just ran, but again, downfield blocking, really good. You know, there might be a little hold there, but that happens every play. But finishing their blocks, and on White, that wasn't an easy job.
McDaniels once again with the team set will look up at the play clock, which is now at 12. About the 8-second mark, that's when he's been getting his team set and getting them into their offense. Give to West off the right side, and West hit in the backfield and able to struggle forward for a yard or two. Dylan Tonkery. Boy, a lot of praise for Dylan Tonkery and his work early on. He's been one of the better defenders for the Mountaineers through the first couple weeks. Stops West for a gain of 1.
It's that same read option again to the right side. I don't know if they're going to head to the left side or if there's some issues over there, but it just seems like every read option is just to the right side off tackle.
Second down once again. About 5 seconds left in the play clock. McDaniels looking, going to fling one out, trying for that back shoulder throw intended for Godnet, well covered out there by the freshman Kenny Robinson.
It's a tough throw. As a quarterback, you don't know if you want to lead them sometimes and let the receivers go get it if you have speed, because they somehow have another gear if that ball's coming their way or if you go back shoulder. But the back shoulder is obviously a more difficult throw. But if you're going to lead them, you got to put some air under it. And like I said, the receivers, they get a heck of a lot faster when that ball comes their way.
Is that a play that's called? Is it called as a back shoulder throw? Or up to the receiver?
It can be more in the red zone.
Okay.
More in the red zone.
Oh boy, McDaniels trying to pump fake and set up a screen to Godnet. Dylan Tonkery chases him down and drops him for a loss in the play. Another sack for this Mountaineers defense, and Delaware State will be forced to kick it away.
Yeah, good discipline by Coach Gibson's defense. They had, they had the pump and go, and I think there was 3 defenders on the 9 route, the go route. So good discipline there, and I'm sure he likes to see that after the bad penalty they took.
Romo Martinez back in punt formation.
And back to the back shoulder throw. That's more, as a freshman quarterback, that's just going to take time working together. And this team's just so young, I think. We'll just take reps.
Another low whistling punt from Fidel Romo Martinez, but before he got it away, there was a flag.
False start. Offense. Players didn't get set for the snap. 5-yard penalty. Replay, 4th down.
Well, we've seen a couple of these issues here for Delaware State. So something to clean up in the special teams. And Kenny Carter has been a special teams coach in the past, and something that he really prides on for his team. We've seen some good returns for them, but they've also given up a big return and had a couple of these penalties, an alignment penalty and now a false start in punt formation. Another line drive, long punt that will go into the end zone will be a touchback. And the Mountaineers will get the ball for the first time in the second half when we return, up 45-10. AT&T is making it easier than ever to share the thrills of every Mountaineer home game with friends and families right from your fingertips, boosting our game day wireless coverage in Mountaineer Field, upgrading and making it larger for everybody. The more people can get tuned in. We're joined by Shane Lyons now as the Mountaineers taking over on their first possession in the second half, and of course the athletics director here at West Virginia University, and the team well on its way to improving to 2-1 here today.
Yeah, it's been a good game, a little long game going on here, but it's good to see some improvements, a lot of drop balls there in the first half and some fumbles, but they're coming together, and you have those type of games. I just hope they get it out of their system.
Mark and I were talking about the old days before the broadcast of, the rabbit ears and the TV and all that stuff, and now we're talking about boosting AT&T wireless coverage. How important is that for the fans here, and how much does it add to their game day experience?
Well, it's important. We're in a different era now, and you try to listen to your fans what they need, and obviously just with the number of phones that people have and access and being able to do certain things on their phone, from streaming to other aspects of texting, it was very important. We've tried to boost that up.
We had a report earlier from Meg Bulger about the renovations here at Mountaineer Field. I know it's been a 2-year project, $50 million, the $4 million Jumbotron finished now.
Yeah, you know, from the fan enhancement, you know, we're going to turn our attention now more to the student-athlete aspect of it, of locker rooms, the medical area, you know, more meeting rooms, Rob. But it's been something that we wanted to focus on and make the improvements, and now the second improvements will hopefully help in the recruiting process.
Second completion to Gary Jennings, your second first down on this drive as Jennings hauls that one in. We saw the Crawford first down run, and that's so important, right, with today's student athletes, making sure that everything's upgraded and updated and is good and looks good and is usable.
It is. You know, you have to kind of keep up with the Joneses out there, and obviously being able to see other facilities and what we're recruiting against. And obviously our recruiting is national. So, you know, we have young men that come in from all over and see different facilities. And, you know, what we'd have to do is upgrade ours to, you know, have the ability to enhance what we want to do in the recruiting process and want them to come here to West Virginia.
You're in the give to Crawford now off the right side, and Crawford lowers his shoulder, gets close to first down yardage, just inside the 41. As we're taking a look at some of the renovation here that has taken place at Mountaineer Field, and it's a big investment. I mean, I'm sure it's not something you can enter into lightly.
No, it's not. And, you know, just seeing the pictures there of the crane, and my philosophy, we don't have a crane out here being built, we're getting behind. So, you know, it takes a lot of resources and funding, and Mountaineer Nation's been to us to help, you know, support that renovations and moving this football program forward.
White steps out of a tackle, picks up a first down inside the 35 down to the 33, and obviously coming off an excellent season in Big 12. Really your most successful team as you've gotten used to Big 12 football play was just a year ago.
Yeah,
just at the last second, maybe Selby got a hand on that pass intended for White.
Yeah, you know, the Big 12's been really good to us as a conference, and being able to now make our adjustments, and took a while for the first couple years, but you know, last year we had a phenomenal year, and you know, we look forward to start Big 12 play next year, and excited the way this team is playing and what they can do in Big 12 play.
Second down, give up the middle, and this is Crawford. Crawford will bang forward and get close to first down yardage inside the 25 down to the 24. Wanted to take a look at the upcoming schedule, some of the non-conference games you have coming up here. Tennessee, NC State, Missouri, Florida State, Maryland, Virginia Tech, Penn State, and Pitt coming up in future years as well. So obviously very difficult as we see Petaway here. And Petaway will pick up first down yardage across the 20 down to the 19-yard line. Obviously not ducking anybody with that non-conference schedule.
We're not ducking anybody, you know, and it's a little bit of the philosophy. If you want to be the best, you got to play the best. And, you know, we've scheduled these close regional rivalries we once had with the other outside the conference schools. We wanted to bring those back, and you know, unfortunately we didn't end up in the right side of the Virginia Tech game. But you know, in the future years, to have those is something real exciting for this program.
There's a pass out to Sims in the flat, stumbles forward to the 15-yard line. And those rivalry games, I know it's hard to balance because you play different national games. It's a chance to expose your team, you know, to a larger audience, but also, you know, the regional rivalries, the fans love those kind of matchups.
Yeah, they really do, Rob, and it's just a matter of having those, and you're right about balancing, and there is a balance there that you have to have. But, you know, we're excited for the future of this program, where we're heading, and, you know, it gets us the exposure that we want, and hopefully when we're considered for the college football playoff, that our schedule really speaks volumes to who we are as a program.
Well, I'm a little biased over here, but I'm already looking to 2023 with that Pitt-Penn State, getting that rivalry going again. I never got to play Penn State, but getting Pitt back on that schedule is, I think everyone here is pretty happy about that.
That was one of the first things, Rob, Mark, when I got here, was I had a lot of emails and advice, get Pitt during the schedule.
Petaway rumbles in for the score, and Shane, thanks so much. Appreciate the time. Thank you so much for coming up here and being with us.
Good being with you all. Let's go Mountaineers.
Yeah, and they summarily march down the field with the athletic director looking on and cheering him on as Petaway finishes off a very impressive first drive to begin this second half for the Mountaineers. Again, we talked about Dana Holgorsen doing some game planning, coming out and seeing if his first team could execute that. They weren't particularly thrilled in the second half against East Carolina after the first team left the game. Let's see if they stay much longer, as the extra point is up and good by Molina. 13 plays, 80 yards, 4 minutes and 10 seconds. The longest drive in terms of time is capped off by the Pettaway 12-yarder. And Martell Pettaway getting a chance to carry the football and get it into the end zone. Jamal Crawford had 3 rushing touchdowns in the first half. Pettaway adds a 4th on the ground for the Mountaineers to cap off that 10-play, 80-yard drive. Staley with a kickoff. This one short, will be taken by Aline at the 10-yard line. Heading out to his left, trying to get to the edge. Being chased there, and not going to happen for him as he gets taken down by Marvin Gross. Chased down at the 18-yard line. That is where Delaware State will take over when we resume. At Mountaineer Field, West Virginia on top comfortably, 52-10 over Delaware State. Hornets getting their second possession here of the second half.
I think the first drive is just what the doctor ordered for Coach Holgerson from the Mountaineers.
Here's Godinette, and Godinette swallowed up after he gains a couple.
A perfect excuse to
Honolulu.
Get his guys out of the game, maybe, since they came out and produced. And you know, you won't know till tomorrow, but it looks pretty healthy so far out of this game, which was a key ingredient, I think.
And much of the first team defense is still out there for the Mountaineers. Of course, they rotate a couple of platoons worth defensively. Deanna's once again standing, waiting for the play clock to go down. It's at 8. Keep faking it to West. Tariq Pitts will come up and make the stop at the 23-yard line, where it'll be a 3rd and 5 for the Hornets.
It's manageable, you know. It's not a bad situation. Beats 3rd and 10, so you know there's still a run pass option. And
again, you're wondering maybe one more stop here for this first team Mountaineers defense. We'll see what Tony Gibson and Dana Holgerson elect to do with their starters, but obviously they have to get off the field first.
Just a
3rd and 5, just 1 for 10 on 3rd down for the Hornets in the game.
Balance we spoke about earlier. How long do you leave your guys in, getting ready for Kansas next week, or
swung out? And it's going to be first down yardage as West on the simple swing pass. Now a flag comes in late. And we'll see what this was. Caden Crawford trying to do some blocking downfield. And the officials will gather together, and let's see what this call is going to be. Happened way away from where West was running for first down yardage.
Personal foul. Illegal block below the waist. Offense, number 66.
And that was Caden Crawford.
At the distance to the goal.
Boy, that is tough, because he was way away, half a football field away from where West was running.
Another one of those plays we talked about earlier in the game with the wrong formation. There's a nice cut block up top of the screen here, I saw right there. And I didn't think that was the call, and it wasn't. It happened way away from the play, like you said, and those are tough pills to swallow just because they had no effect on the play. But
and then, you know, you can see it from a young player's perspective as well. There's going to be tape on there, and they're going to talk about, hey, you know, the big runs happen when guys make blocks downfield, right? And then maybe you run out there and you're a little out of position and you're trying to make a play to show up on tape, and you miss it and you get called for it.
And then, unfortunately, you know, you got to look at the other perspective too with the defense. If you got to protect those D linemen's legs. And
absolutely.
So it is the rules, and you just got to play smarter. There's too many mistakes, I think, on Delaware State side of the ball today.
Aline will check back in on a 3rd and 12. 10 penalties, 80 yards for Delaware State in the game. And a quick reverse to Aline. Aline with Kenny Robinson out there. Robinson stays home, does a fine job. Al-Rashid Benton helps clean things up, sort of like a Statue of Liberty play almost.
Yeah, we used to run that with famous Amos Zaraway back in the day. We called it the Statue of Liberty, and you know, it was good discipline by West Virginia to stay home there. You know, this point of the game being up by this much, you could lose concentration, but Coach Gibson's got them still fired up, and I'm sure he's happy to see that.
Freshman Tevin Bush back in punt receiving formation along with Sills. I'd like to see if Bush can get his hands on one here. Good snap to Romo Martinez. Another lining low kick is taken by Bush at the 43. Bush skitters forward into Delaware State territory. Late flag comes in behind the play.
There's a flag on the play.
And Bush showing those good quick feet. And see what the flag's going to be. Once again, quite a bit of deliberation among the officials out on the field. There's head coach Dana Holgerson getting things straightened out on his sideline. We'll see. It looks like the second team offense is ready to come out.
Illegal block in the back. Return team number 39. 10-yard penalty. First down. Timeout.
So the flag, and the Mountaineers will take over, presumably with the second team offense, when we return. I know you're a big Penguins fan.
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to it.
Enjoyed that second consecutive championship. As Chris Chuganoff has checked into the game, backup quarterback. Hands off to the left side to Petaway, and Petaway will get a couple out to about the 43-yard line.
It's a good opportunity for, all the coaches to see their young guys, and, Delaware State still a good football team, and it's going to be on film, so it's just nice to get them some experience in front of all these fans.
Chuganoff flings it out. And it's hauled in by Reggie Roberson. Going to be a pickup of about 4 or 5 out to the 48-yard line. And Dana Holgerson, Jake Spavett all talking about it last week. Happy with Chris Chuganoff, and the running backs, they don't consider any of them to be backups. So happy with Petaway and McCoy and Crawford, but not particularly pleased with the rest of the second team. So they serve notice that these guys need to perform better here today. Third down, Chuganoff. This is Rogers. Rogers steps through a would-be tackler or two, flung down short of a first down. Flag on the play. I think we might have an illegal block. Alejandro Marenco out there, and let's see if the flag is going to be on him.
Holding. Offense. Number 83. 10-yard penalty. Replay third down.
Well, they're going to elect to take the yardage here. And it is on Marenco.
It's a hold. When coaches get after you pretty good, you're going to do everything in your power to do your job. But sometimes you resort back to what you know best, and holding is usually the top of the list.
Well, interesting that they'd rather have 3rd and 13 than 4th and 2. Chuganoff back. Protecting good, steps up, throws across the middle, short of a first down, complete to Roberson, out to the 45, but it'll be a 3 and out, and out comes the punt team.
Looks pretty similar to last week's fourth quarter versus East Carolina. Scored all those points and got some of the backups in, and it just seemed to slow down a lot.
Billy Kinney, who had cramp problems against Virginia Tech, and then much like East Carolina, hasn't punted all game here in the first half. Oh, he unleashes a beauty, and it's going to land at the 5 and be covered around the 10-yard line. So excellent punt by Billy Kinney. Really good punter. The numbers haven't been as good this year for some of the reasons we just talked about, the cramps, and then just you're sitting around all game, and then you finally get a chance to get in the second half against East Carolina. Some pooch punts called for, but really got into that one.
That is, we all give the kickers and punters a hard time, but when it's crucial parts of the game and they've been standing around for hours on end and haven't done anything, and you ask them to step into the game and do it with nerves, that's why they're a little different. But you got to have respect for them. And that was a great punt. I mean, the hang time there was something you're looking for too, and just beautiful.
So we're seeing some substitutions here for West Virginia defensively. A whole new defensive linebacking core as the second team defense getting out there. Delaware State will continue to go with much of their first team, although Keenan Black has step back in at the quarterback position. And Black will give. And it's Mike Waters who will cross the 15, get out close to the 16. So a pretty good first down run for the Hornets.
Yeah, they've been, like I said, they've had some chunks today, and it seems to be just off the right edge there. And 6-7 yards on first down is it's a good thing if they can keep this up.
I beg your pardon. We have a player down on the field here for Delaware State. Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule here for West Virginia. And they'll jump into Big 12 play completely done now with non-conference play. And talk a little bit about that game at Kansas when you start stepping into conference play, Mark.
It's a little different. It'll be their first actual road game. I mean, the first one was Virginia Tech in DC, so it was neutral. But when you go out when you're in conference and you're on the road, it's a different vibe, and it'll be a good test. Virginia Tech, that was an easy one to get up for, but these last two have kind of been watered down. But next week's really when the season is going to get going in conference, because that's those games matter the most.
Obviously another difficult Big 12 schedule. The conference once again 4 ranked teams heading into this weekend. Of course, West Virginia was ranked at the beginning of the season, a chance maybe to move back into the top 25, 26 in one poll, down a couple spots in that and the other, so a chance to move up in the rankings for the Mountaineers, perhaps with a victory here today.
And get through this game healthy, head to Kansas, have a great showing, then you get a bye week, and get anyone who's dinged up back. The schedule looks like it's lining up pretty good right now after this game.
And it is Waters who goes down here, and looked like maybe just rolled something on that left leg. It looks like that was the leg he's favoring here, heading off the field, not putting any weight on it. And boy, if you're Delaware State, and that's one of the problems you run into, Mark, when you're playing bigger, stronger, faster competition, moving from FCS up to FBS, is that unfortunately some injuries can happen. We've seen a couple guys from Delaware State leaving already.
Yeah, I mean, just 10, 15 pounds it's a big deal, and it's not the fault of the athlete. I mean, there's just more facilities, better training staffs, and more money, to be quite frank.
Aline is able to scamper off the left side and out to the 20-yard line to pick up a first down. And again, this is not going to make if this drive continues, then the coaching staff, Jake Spavital offensively, Tony Gibson defensively, not going to be happy with the 3 and out on offense, and not going to be happy if they give up more than a first down or 2 on this subsequent drive here for the Hornets.
Sure, and winning is the most important, as we all know, and everyone says no one looks at stats, but I promise you every player and every coach looks at stats, so you don't want to give up a bunch of garbage yards and have your defense ranking come down.
Here's Aline off the right side to be a couple.
The give is to Aline.
And they will have to run at least one more play here in this third quarter, as much as they've been trying to milk the clock.
Gain of 2. Second and 8.
Lamont McDougal, the freshman nose tackle. Boy, that's a tough position to come in and play as a freshman. And McDougal is a guy they're really high on.
Yeah, you got guards coming after you. The center, obviously, you're butting heads with him all day, but between traps and you don't know if it's a run or a pass, and your responsibility is to stop the run. So it's a really difficult position.
And Black with a keeper, and Black has all kinds of room and is able to roll out across the 45 out to the 47 before Kenny Robinson eventually chases him out of bounds. But Black able to pick up a second consecutive first down.
Yeah, it's those inside runs right there. That's why 1-2 yards on first down pays off when you pull that ball and go around the corner, and just a missed assignment by the end.
And some assignment football that Tony Gibson will want to see cleaned up as we see the last play of the third quarter on that run by Black. And the Mountaineers will head into the fourth quarter with a comfortable lead. They're up 52-10 over Delaware State, looking to improve to 2-1 on the season. Fourth quarter set to get underway here at Milan Puskar Stadium in Morgantown, West Virginia. Thanks for being with us. Alongside WV Hall of Famer and former NFL great Mark Bolger, I'm Rob King. Ooh, they Long merge, and Aline has it slip through his fingers. It is recovered by Lamont McDougal. It is West Virginia football. That merge point on the option can be tricky, and that time it was. The fumble, and the Mountaineers recover.
Yeah, that takes a lot of practice. It looked like it was on his hip, and he left it in too late. Let's take a look here. Yeah, I think he held onto it maybe one step too long, but for Coach Gibson, I'm sure he's happy with his defense being able to get on that ball and maybe get this second string offense some confidence and get them going.
I don't remember you running any option at West Virginia. Did you run any?
I think maybe one or two, and Coach Nealon threw that in the trash.
Here's Tevin Bush trying to follow his blockers off the left side, and little freshman will put his shoulder down and get a couple down to the 43, pickup of about 3. Did you run any at Central Catholic?
I didn't do that either.
No? Okay.
I think if you watch me run once, then you kind of get the idea that it's not going to happen.
Looked pretty good throwing it, though.
Thank God I could do that.
And now another injured player.
Yeah, with these moving piles, with these running backs carrying them, a lot of guys get rolled up on. I'm surprised there haven't been more.
Looks like Abdul Aguilera, the injured player, will get you update when we return. Mountaineers up 52-10.
For about 3 years now, West Virginia has been using new technology that measures the output of energy and the length of time each player is exuding effort. Coach Holgerson said it actually looks like a sports bra, and there's a tracking device, much like a key fob, inserted into the back. The players wear this device all week in practice in addition to game day, and Holgerson said the information is extremely valuable. You can pretty much tell if someone was dogging it or going hard that day. He said it's also been fun posting the numbers in the weight room and watching the guys compete. Rob?
Thanks very much, Megan. You know, that conversation occurred because we asked him, look, in a game like this, and even East Carolina, Mark, your regulars aren't going to play all 4 quarters. That's going to happen when you get into Big 12 conference play. Are you worried about their conditioning? That's when he brought up this conditioning tracking they've been doing for the last 3 years or so. As Bush off the left side is tripped up as he crosses the 40 down to the 39. So he's not really too worried about the conditioning. He says in practice they run a ton of miles.
They do, and I know their practice schedule's a little bit different. I know they go really hard on Fridays, which is unusual for, or not unusual. I think it's become more common, but I mean, it's becoming like a pitch count in baseball. You get to 100 pitches, and it seems like, you know, that's it. But
here's 4th down. Oh, Bush bouncing off a would-be tackler, able to kind of hide behind that offensive line. He's listed at about 5'6". Word is he might not even be that tall.
Yeah, he's hiding behind those linemen, and just one bounce, and he's really quick. He can make some cuts there. But back to the conditioning, you know, these college kids, they spend so much time in the offseason, even more than the pros. And you know, I wouldn't think the conditioning's an issue unless you head south, you know, and you're a northern team in December or something. You're just not used to the heat.
Quickly flung out, chugging off, and it's completed out to Marenko. Nice for him. Had that penalty earlier, so I'm sure he's happy to haul one in there for a pickup of about 9 on 1st down.
2nd and 1, ball at the 16.
Chugginoff gives to Bush, squirts through a hole on the left side, and Tevin Bush flung down, but he gets inside the 1-yard line.
Again, he just hides right behind the guard, and the linebackers can't really pick him up. And with his quick feet, he's able to make these cuts. And you can't see him. By the time they see him, it's pretty much arm tackles, and he's by them.
Ooh, boy, what a quick move there to elude a would-be tackler. Looked like Heslop was coming strong on him, but man, was that quick. He might have gotten back to the line of scrimmage, but Heslop was bearing down.
It's one of those backs, and you know, they used to tell us in the NFL, you know, if you're a running back, you know, the first guy can't make the tackle. You got to make one miss, because there's always going to be a guy, and all the good backs never get tackled by the first guy.
2nd and goal. Chugginoff fakes, slant, touchdown, Reggie Roberson. A very good drive, the 4th down conversion, and Chris Chugginoff able to march the Mountaineers down for another touchdown.
It's just that play fake, and you know, they did a great job getting inside leverage. I mean, a great ball right on his chest. And that's what happens when you have a successful running game. You get those linebackers' eyes inside, but the receiver's got to get inside himself because the quarterback's trusting that.
Really, you pick your poison, right? If you too many in the box, they throw it. Not enough in the box. They've proven they can obviously run it as well. Molina's extra point is up. It is good. It is 59-10. Mountaineers as Chugunov comes in, finds Roberson for the short touchdown pass, and the Mountaineers expanding their lead. The Mountaineers going to be in really, really good shape. East Carolina last week, Delaware State this week. Pump them out, young man. And you know that that outfit's not exactly air conditioned.
I don't think I've done 59 push-ups this whole year, let alone in 2 minutes. So,
in the full body leather too.
Yeah, he's not done, so he might be 66 here soon.
Wow. Here's Staley with a run up. And it's going to be taken by Aline again at his 1 yard line. Crosses the 10, the 15, and steps to the outside as he is taken down just short of the 20-yard line.
Aline on the return. Runs out of bounds.
A better job by the coverage team there. They had some issues with that, but seemed like they had all their lanes covered on that one.
Let's see who comes out for the Hornets at quarterback, whether it's back to McDaniels, whether they'll stay with sophomore Keenan Black. And it is Black who will come into the game, taking a couple series here. And Aline will be in at the running back position. Quick pass out to West. West makes one man miss, crosses the 30 out to the 35, the 37-yard line. Brendan Ferns, the linebacker, comes up to make the stop.
Nice block on the perimeter out there by Delaware State. I've been impressed with the receivers and their blocking ability outside. I think as they go down further in the season, they should do more of those quick screens because I think the receivers are pretty darn good blockers. And it gets the ball away from those big guys inside if you're outmatched.
I'm trying to find a way too to get West and some of the other receivers involved offensively. The other running backs, I should say, get them out, split them out wide, and get them a chance to catch a ball. And here's Black through his legs and now looking, scrambling, will cut back and trying to make one more man miss. Can't do it. To Keem Bailey, who's able to stop him, but a pretty good job to even pick up a yard there by Keenan Black.
He got 2 or 3 there. They ran 30 to get 3, but you know, again, I think with these read option plays in the pistol, that quarterback's eyes are they're looking at the end way too quick, and we've seen it too much today.
How much shotgun did you do in the NFL?
It was more 2 minute. We were under center. You know, it was more 5 and 7 step drops in the system I was in. Then 2 minute we were in the shotgun, but not like today. Today's just the whole game's changed. The receivers they went to the more bigger and stronger guys.
There's a backwards pass thrown out to Aline. Aline will cut back, and he will run into the arms of Marvin Gross after a short gain. Again, running a long way to pick up about 3 out to the 41, where it'll be a 3rd and 6.
Yeah, that's something you'll learn really quick, not to run back in against traffic, against you know, those big guys. You know, whenever I had the rare occasion of running and I was going outside, it was either sliding on the ground or I was running out of bounds. Wasn't cutting back.
Right, that's where those big hits you don't see come and injuries happen.
Of course, and they're legal. So it's I remember Kurt Warner, you saw him after an interception 5 years ago, and he took the hit. I've never seen a hit like that, cutting back.
Here's Black trying to loft one downfield. And, oh, here comes a late flag. And see if it's going to be some sort of infraction against West Virginia. Kwani Coley was the intended receiver. Looked back as if he wanted a flag, and the flag came in late. So let's see what they decide this is going to be.
There's 3 Mountaineers there. Then I don't think the ball was even catchable either, but it might have happened earlier with a hold. I'm not sure.
No, officials still conferring it will be marched off against West Virginia.
Pass interference, defense, number 24, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Now Akeem Bailey's the call. Well, yep, you can see
he must have just
why the call was made, I suppose. Well, I was looking at the bottom of the screen, actually. I beg your pardon.
Yeah, I think they could have got either one of them. That have been holding, I think, at the top of the screen. He might have just hooked his hip a little bit. It's an old trick, but I thought the ball was uncatchable.
Bailey, a guy that they're really high on, but Kenny Robinson started in his place. They still like the upside of Akeem Bailey, redshirt sophomore, one of quite a few junior college transfers on this West Virginia roster. Now we have a pre-snap penalty. Under 10 minutes remaining here in the third quarter.
I think that's the issue when you run that play clock all the way down. You got your linemen sitting there for 30 seconds with their hand on the ground.
False start, offense.
That's why we've seen so many of these, but
5-yard
as a quarterback, he'll learn, you know, the clock was stopped. There's really no reason to run the play clock down when the clock's not running.
And
just game management.
Teams don't huddle as much as they used to. It used to be you could break a team late from the huddle, right, if you wanted to kill some clock. Now everyone's just standing around, and again, it's 20 on the play clock now when they've been set, when Black decides it's time to run it. And this is West, and West dragged down by Ferns from behind, but a 14-yard gain down to the 35-yard line.
West has been impressive today. He's had a lot of chunks, and like I said, he finishes his runs and he got some giddy up. He's a good back.
Second and 1.
We were talking a little bit about the setting up in that pistol formation. I suppose the plus side, if you're going to be throwing the ball, is you don't have to take the 3 or 5 step drop. The downside to me would be taking your eye off the coverage and being able to read it downfield.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, when you're under center, your head's down the field the whole time, and it just becomes automatic. And like I said, with these option plays.
And here's another one from Black, finally chased out of bounds by Corey Winfield, 2-year starter at Syracuse, who is a graduate transfer.
Yeah, you got to take your eyes off the defensive secondary, and you got to catch the ball, and you got to look at the end. It's 3 things that, you know, unless you practice it a heck of a lot, can have fumbles, and that's what we've seen today.
So Black picks up that first down. Hands on hips. Telling his team just relax a little bit. 8 in the play clock. We'll get into the call. Black keeps again, bounces it outside, and bounces one more time and steps out of bounds after a gain of about 4 down to the 23-yard line.
Pretty good drive here. Obviously helped with the penalty, but 4 or 5 yards. The play is pretty good.
Well, this will be one of the things that Kenny Carter can point to after the game for Delaware State. A lot of the 2s in there, the second teamers for West Virginia, but regardless of who's in the game, the Hornets able to move the ball here successfully down the field. Approaching the 8-minute mark remaining. Here's West. West off the right side, cuts back to the left, and big hit as he's able to get down to the 6-yard line. Knifey's West again continues to be impressive.
Again, watch how he finishes the run at the end of this play. He's been doing it all game, and I talk about West Virginia's backs that do this, but right here, it's always going forward. We'd love to see that out of a back. He got an extra 5 yards.
It's Osman Kamara, who came up and was on the stop defensively for the Mountaineers. Seven and a half remaining. 3 in the play clock. Black keeps off the left side. Down he goes. And that's Kamara who comes up to make the stop.
It was the read to the left. I just haven't seen it that much today. It's been mostly to the right. Maybe we know why they've been going to the right. It seems like it got stuffed pretty quick on that one.
You're right. The big play, the only exception as far as big plays is when they faked it to the left and threw the pass.
for the touchdown.
Yeah, I think that the game plan was to go over the right tackle in that area. But again, you have to run it once in a while left just to break tendencies.
6:40 remaining. They just get the snap off once again. Black keeping and throwing out in the flat behind Bryant Dallas, who makes the reception but actually lost a yard in the play.
Took another pretty big hit. Anytime these Delaware State quarterbacks are trying to throw the ball, they seem to end up on the ground at the end of the play, whether they got rid of the ball or not.
3rd down. Selby checks back in the game for Jordan Hanna. They'll split out to the right, along with Quanah Coley, I beg your pardon. Six on the play clock. Black back, throws, and a leaping grab in the end zone, and it's a touchdown hauled in by Coley. Well, nice throw and nice catch on the other end by Quanah Coley, the freshman.
I was just going to say that was a perfect back shoulder throw, and I think the catch was even better. And just a little seam route, and that's a heck of a ball adjustment there. There's not much the defense could have done on that one, because that's how you draw it up in the film room.
I don't know the origin of the back shoulder throw, whether it was just accidental or somebody decided it was, but once it started to catch on, it is almost impossible for a defender to do anything about it.
Yeah, I think being a DB is probably the toughest athletic position in the NFL, but if you can do the back shoulder right, it's perfect.
You know, they're trying to fake it here and not much doing. That's Fidel Romo Martinez, normally the punter, who is back as the kicker, and the fake falls flat. But the Hornets complete a successful 10-play drive. They get into the end zone, down 59-16. Now the Delaware State band, a little something to cheer about here in the second half. They get their first score in the second stanza as they march down the field, score a touchdown. The attempted two-point conversion fails. 59-16. The Mountaineers out in front comfortably, ready to improve to 2-1 in the season. Tevin Bush back deep. Wisdom Nazidi to kick off here for the Hornets. And he will pooch one that Bush will field on the gallop at the 15, and they stood up and struggles forward to about the 32-yard line on the return.
I'd be impressed with Delaware State and Coach Carter keeping these guys playing. You know, this game's long over, but it's the fourth quarter, and they didn't have to go down there and do that. And, you know, you see West running the way he is, and a great throw and catch. So this is something to build on. And he said at the outset he was not going to let this team quit with his background. And, I mean, regardless of the score, I mean, they certainly haven't.
Something to keep an eye on, perhaps. Mitch Chuganoff, the younger brother of Chris Chuganoff, has checked into the game at the wide receiver position. Bush, boy, Malik Harris doing a nice job closing from his inside linebacker position. Gain of just 1 for Bush as we head downstairs to Meg Bulger. Meg.
Well, guys, I may be biased, but I got to say there's something special about a university and an athletic program when you start seeing the same last name on signing day. The football team has had this 4 occasions recently. There are Morgantown natives, Jonah and Shay Campbell, backup quarterback Chris Chuganov with his wide receiver brother Mitch, twin brothers Jordan and Jaquez Adams, and you may recognize Karan and Kaiser White from their older brother Kevin, as Mitch just catches a pass from his brother. I'm told these two are extremely close. They live together. Super funny, so I'm sure the family's going to enjoy that. Guys.
Thank you, Meg. No question they will enjoy that. That's something that, you know, I think will make everybody, Jake Spavital and that the offensive coordinator, everybody happy as Chuganoff chugs off the field here. Mitch talking about the Chuganoff. That's something they will never forget.
No, that's special. And Meg, actually, with my older sister, or my younger sister, but the older one of those two, Katie, played basketball here in West Virginia together, so they never forgot that.
Here's Chuganoff. Oh, Drew Bowen running and just couldn't get under it. The walk-on from West Virginia. There is a real West Virginia flavor on this roster as well. And pretty good throw there by Chris Chuganoff.
That was a pretty ball. You know, he had the perfect arch. He put that about 45, 50 yards in the air too, so he's got an arm on him. Back to the sibling thing.
Yeah,
I
the family
think
affair.
It's great. You know,
right.
it's you know, it just gives you a comfort level that and an advantage the other kids don't have coming in as a freshman.
Here's Kinney. Low spiraling kick. And Aline calls the fair catch back inside his own 15-yard line. 4:37 remaining. Mountaineers, there's Meg Bulger up comfortably, 59-16. At Mountaineer Field, the Mountaineers leading 59-16. As you see the band playing along, always a big part of what goes on. You know, it's amazing. If you're here early in the morning in a noon game, these guys are out here 7, 8 o'clock in the morning getting ready for the game.
Yeah, and even during training camp, we could hear them in the background. So they spend their summers here too, and they're a big part of the Mountaineer Nation down here.
Black remains in at quarterback. Knifey's West behind him. And West will get the carry, and West will be taken down by Quandarius Qualls after maybe a loss of a yard. Looks like they're going to mark him right at the line of scrimmage, so no gain in the play.
Knock on wood, I think Mountaineers are coming out of this pretty healthy. I think coming in, you worry about a freak injury, and I think they've escaped it, which I know will be a relief for Coach Holgerson.
West the setback behind Black. Two receivers split to the left as again a glance up at the play clock. 8 seconds on it. And Black will keep. Black off to the right side, and Black will be taken down across the 20 out to the 21-yard line. Sean Mahone in the stop defensively for the Mountaineers.
Nice run off that right side again. Been saying it all day, but seems to be the sweet spot over there.
So a pickup of about 6 will bring up a 3rd and 4. You wonder if that's more the personnel of Delaware State or something they're looking to attack against West Virginia.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure it out. I'm not sure, but it seems like they always have the slot and the Z receiver on the opposite side, so maybe it has something to do with the position in West Virginia runs.
Black will keep again, and that time stutter stepping and couldn't figure out which way to go as Quandarius Qualls and others up there to help make the stop.
Qualls with the stop, Mountaineers.
On 4th down now, 4th and 3. The offense remaining out there for now. Yep, here comes the punt team now.
You mentioned earlier, Coach Carter, he inherited, a tough situation here, but I think they got some wins coming in the next couple of years. I mean, just the way they competed for the first quarter and, the way they're finishing now. Just get these guys a little bit more experience, and they're going to have some wins, no doubt.
Just such a young team right now. Romo Martinez. Oh, another blasted line drive kick, and Bush tried to come up with the over-the-shoulder grab and goes out of bounds at the 21-yard line. So a booming kick once again by Fidel Romo Martinez of some 60 yards.
I know they've had some issues, and Coach Holgerson's sick of hearing about it. It's just seems to come up, but you win a game 59-16 or more, and you got to hear about that. So that's just the frustrating part of being a coach. How many does it take to win by without getting asked about one bad thing that happens? So I know it's probably just frustrating for him.
Well, there's always something, and sometimes the coaches will pick up on something. They knew going into this week that they were going to be huge favorites in the game, and so they just concentrated on themselves and some of the mistakes they thought they made against East Carolina, and that was their focus in practice this week, taking nothing against the competition, but every once in a while it's good to look internally and make sure you're brushing up on the fundamentals, that sort of thing.
Sure.
Number 76.
I know he said that he was not looking past this week, but you can always sneak in 3 or 4 reps in practice for Kansas without telling your team just some ideas, and I'm sure they looked at some Kansas film this week as well.
Chase Barrett, the 2-time All-American heavyweight wrestler from Lafayette High School in the St. Louis region, was caught on the penalty there as Tevin Bush wrapped up and dropped for no gain.
Brought down by 51.
Actually going to say he lost a couple. Approaching the 2-minute mark remaining here in this game. And a rare huddle up here for the Mountaineers. They don't do a whole lot of this. It's usually pace, 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 but I think they're looking, as you said, to say, look, we're healthy, let's get through it, let's get out, and let's concentrate on Kansas.
I think so. You want to get your guys experience, but at the same time, like I said, you rolled the dice, and went to Vegas and you won. So everyone's healthy. Just get through this next minute or two.
Here's Bush. Boy, plants the foot, does a nice job cutting up field, gets close to the 20-yard line. It'll be a 3rd down.
Same time, too, you want to let your guys have fun since they spent the whole offseason working hard, too. So this is their chance to finally get on the field and play a little bit. And, you know, they all have families here, so just trying to walk that fine line.
For the West Virginia kids, this is a big deal. I mean, and that people have to remember that. Look, in games that are lopsided like this, there's still positives you can get out of it. Kids from West Virginia being able to play on this field, 2nd and 3rd team guys, the ability to get out there and get reps in a game that matters. It's a totally different speed and a totally different mentality.
Whereas I remember getting into a Syracuse game as a redshirt freshman and threw a late touchdown, but you know, no one was here. We were getting blown out, but to me, it meant everything, and it gave me confidence going into the offseason that I could actually do something.
Yeah, so there are some valuable things that can be taken from this game. The Mountaineers going to